Hi, I'm Steve, out walking my dogs. Right behind me, you see what happens when you run a sub 3-hour marathon. Welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast. We got Molly, Poppy, and Rupert.
Right, come on. Maximum effort. Hello and welcome to episode 124 of the Tea and Trails podcast. And thanks for the intro, Steve, Molly, Poppy, and Rupert too, all the way from Canada. I love an international intro. Please keep those intros coming. Email them to hello@teaandtrails.com. Kudos to all our patrons and everyone who has joined Patreon over the last week for the price of a cuppa. You can't even buy half a pint of beer. I've done some research.
How much is a pint of beer? I can't remember the last time I bought a pint of beer.
Okay, if you go to the Cooper's Arms, Margaret Street, Rochdale, Kent, for half a pint of neck oil, £3.20.
Half a pint?
Half a pint of Gamma Ray, £3.35. Or you can get half a pint of Strongbow, £2.75.
Oh, I did like a pint of Strongbow in my time.
This actually seems quite cheap because some of the pubs I've been to seem a lot more expensive than this. If you have a bottle of Estrella, £4.55. Desperado, £4.55. And a bottle of Lef, that's a classy beer, £4.70.
I just had a look because we've just started watching season 4 of Clarkson's Farm. Clarkson's beer, which is Hawkstone, £5.50. That's in Oxfordshire, posh place. If you go over to the Isle of Wight, only £4.48. So if you're just going for a couple of pints...
Oh, it's wild.
What's the price of a Diet Coke? What would be your drink of choice?
Out of all those, I do like a Bay Moretti or a Cruz Campo.
Is that what you do? If you and I were meeting at the pub, we'd have a packet of scampi fries.
Yeah.
Not to share, because you wouldn't share.
I get some chips.
And you'd have a...
pint of Cruz Campo. If it's sunny.
Oh, we're sitting in the sun with a packet. That's when we record our podcast at the Tea and Trails Ultra. I'm going to throw scampi fries, packets of scampi, because the audience would be so happy if they're just sitting munching on their scampi fries. And don't worry, because we checked, they are actually vegetarian. There is not a whiff of scampi in
Get
a
out
scampi
of town,
fry.
no way. My mind has been blown.
So if I was gonna have a Diet Coke, I wouldn't have a pint now because my bladder couldn't take it.
Yeah, especially if you're on stage.
Oh God! How are we going to manage that, Carrie?
I've got no idea.
How many
Stressing
tea
me out.
breaks do we have during the podcast? At least 2.
Just get Russell's bottle, go behind the curtain.
Just with your head like on the stage and just leaning back. Half a pint of Diet Coke, £1.45. I'm a much cheaper date than you. Have scampi fries got scampi? And let me just check this before.
Spirits. Oh, a vodka, Smirnoff, £3.35.
Well, so basically, we've digressed.
Anyway, for the price of a cuppa, you can help keep the lights hot and the mics on and save big time in all your trail running essentials. And don't forget, if you want a snood or bobble hat, then you need to add your address to Patreon. No address, no goodies, new Patreon perk alert. Listeners can now enjoy 10% off over at Gooder. Gooder sunglasses. I'm a big fan of Gooder
I've
sunglasses.
never seen you in a pair. Oh, maybe when you're heat training, you slip the puppies on. Okay.
I did treat myself at the London Marathon Expo to a new pair of Gooder sunglasses. So I'm over the moon to have these on board. I'm going to do some Patreon economics for you here, Edwina. £3 is the lowest tier to join Patreon. Actually, no, if you join for a year, you save 10% and we will send you a snood straight away. So for argument's sake, £3 is your investment. Over at Gooder, sunglasses range from £30 to £40, polarised, non-slip, non-bounce.
You make me laugh.
But I can do, I'm not exactly Carol Vorderman, but I can work out £3 is 10% of £30. Incredible value.
I don't really like starting the podcast asking people for money. You know, I feel a bit like we should actually welcome them in and like give them something back for the money, but also just get it done and then
if they go to Kent, stuff. They know how much the beer is going to cost them.
Well, we have provided, and I have checked Scampi. It's a wheat-based, cereal-based flavouring, so we've provided some knowledge and your Gooder sunglasses are polarised, which is an important part of sunglasses. So
exactly.
You can tune out now. You can just turn this
on. Our work is done.
Our work is done. Thanks to X Miles Precision Fuel Hydration, Harrier Trail Running, Phoenix Lake UK and Protein Rebel. Oh, I just had a little alert saying a Protein Rebel package is on its way.
Oh, well done.
I need to literally pour that magnesium down my throat because I am my cramps from the heat training. Thank you so much to all of you for sponsoring this week's show. X Miles is a family-owned independent endurance sports retailer that provides nutritional goods, apparel and accessories to help athletes perform and recover at their best. X Miles offers a wide range of high-quality products from leading brands, and their team of nutrition experts, cyclists, runners and outdoor enthusiasts can provide expert advice and guidance to help you reach your goal. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just getting started, X Miles is the perfect place to find everything you need. Listeners can get 10% off over at www.xmiles.co.uk. All the links are in the show notes. I'm going to try some Beta SIS gels, Gaza. I'm going to pop them in my trolley.
Join the gang.
What's your favourite flavour?
It was the lime one.
Ooh, there's lime, there's orange, there's
lime,
neutral lime. Okay, I wonder if I can just get a mixture.
Something about orange. When it's warm, not keen.
No, really? I thought that had been quite refreshing. Anyway, I'm going to order some. I'll let you know how it goes. Have you entered the Tea and Trails Ultra Weekend? Oh, my Lord. You are on the closing stages now. Entries close on June the 19th. So time to get a wiggle on if you still want to join us for a weekend of fun, trail running, entertainment, camping. Head over to www.teaandtrailsultra.com. We've had a few sad emails slip into the inbox this week of people that have entered and are now injured, which is really sad. I think pretty much everyone has said, I'm still coming. Can I volunteer? Oh, you legends. Volunteers, do they not get extra time with you behind the tent? They get the hug and kiss, which everybody gets, and then a little bit of...
Slip the tongue in.
Is that going on the reel? If you'd like to be part of the event team, you'd like to volunteer, or perhaps you're bringing family and you're like, sign them up. Don't tell them before, just sign them up. Shane will give them a nice job. Head over to www.areaevents.com, and on the homepage, you'll see the event team option, and all the information can be found there. If you're worried you haven't received any details on the race, Gary's not knocked on your door with an embossed envelope with all your race, here are your race details. All the details of the race, location, times, etc. can be found at www.teaandtrailsultra.com. So check out the webpage.
You need to keep scrolling down.
Keep scrolling all these web pages.
I saw some GPX routes, and then you keep going down. They've got these lists of questions and options. So check them out.
Thank you, Yugoku Projects, for producing our Tea and Tails cap. Oh, it's awesome, Sensei. It's such a... Everybody looks good in this cap. Everybody. Even if you pair it with a pair of children's headphones. Pop over to Yugoku Projects if you'd like one. Patrons receive 20% off. Yeah, Shane Harris. He was at the Hardmoors 110. Was he beating your record?
Shane didn't.
Looking sensational. Your relay record got broken.
Oh, sad times.
Let's take it down next year. When is it? Would we be recovered? Yeah, June. It could be our next thing after... Northern Traverse.
No, I'm not thinking about that. I think they did a great job. I'm going to do a little bit of my weekly chat already. So the people who, I was very invested in the 110 and the 160. Lots of friends torn the line, and also with an eye on the relay too, because one of the people who went to All County Tops, Phil, he was part of the Durham Harriers relay team. So we unwittingly had our eyes on those guys, but they weren't the competition. It was, oh goodness me, what they call it, running buggy couple. So there was an interesting dynamic with their team. Only 2 members. And I was curious if they had like road support and somebody was driving, and so somebody actually could rest. But if they were basically the only 2 people out on the course, then one would drive, 0 rest for near as damn it 24 hours. Incredible. I think from what I heard, not that I was checking, it was like a 10 mile on, 10 mile off.
Can't imagine getting out of the car after a couple of 10 miles and then trying to drop a 7-minute mile, being like,
So my cortisol was up, because it was race day. I was pretty stressed out, but I didn't do anything.
Well, I even Gary.
Until the last, I kind of picked up
Life
the baton.
Motto. I don't do anything.
I picked up the baton and ran it home. I didn't even get there. I was still in bed when Chris started the race all the way down in Filey.
Yeah, so they deserve that record. You guys were just there for the good
hats
times.
Off. Kudos.
So let's carry on then. What you've been? We had a big discussion before. We don't often try and listen to Gary's training when I'm not on the podcast, because I listen to it so much on the podcast. He had a stern Eddie coaching call when he was and I said,
wasn't expecting that. This is why I don't pay the money for a coach. I get told things I don't like.
Yeah. I said, don't worry, this is how I do. This is a very classic. And there's some silences and there's some me going,
But sometimes you curate a question because you're hoping for an answer. I didn't get the answer I hoped for. Anyway, my week started off easy, actually, just Monday with Rex, easing myself into the week. I really have no aspirations for anything on a Monday. If I run, I run. If I do heat, I do heat. It's just loosey-goosey and enjoy that. Tuesday, though, I did do my heat and I did some strides too. Big gains, you'll know this. Anyone who's on the core app, if you don't do it for a little while and you jump back on the core heat sensor, the app is very gracious to you for the first few sessions. As you get, nearer that 100%, obviously you can't keep getting 6%, 4%, wherever it is every time you jump on the app. But the first session back, it's like, wow, yes, crushing it. And I love it. After a heat session, especially in the summer when it's nice outside, I just collapse in the garden.
I give up. As soon as it says 10 out of 10, I'm like done because I'm not going to get any more percentage. So I'm like, what's the point? I can see people go out for like 2-hour heat run and I'm like, I'm not motivated to do that because after 75 minutes, I'll have got my 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Done.
I probably, like you say, about 70 minutes and I get the 10 out of 10 just crashed out in the garden.
Yeah, well, you can finish at like 6 or 7. And then if you've got the time to, depends how hot you've got, especially if I get near 39 degrees, I got another 20 minutes of dying.
That's a red flag. 39 degrees.
I sat on the kitchen. We've got like sort of like fake leather chairs around the kitchen table. And I wasn't thinking. I came in, I poured my orange squash and ice cubes and sat down on the leather chair. And as I sat down, it sort of went, and I was like, I'm scared to stand up. Just imagine my bum-shaped sweaty mark is going to be there forever.
Well, that's why I go in the gardens. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do in the winter when I can't go and crash out.
We'll be on to the next thing in the winter by then.
Yeah,
we'll probably be like eating toads and stuff like that.
Anything. Yeah, I'll do anything. Wednesday, though, I did feel a bit snotty and I do get called out quite a few times for not taking rest days. I had an achy eye too, and that is always a red flag for me when I've got a bit of a weepy eye.
When your STI kicks in.
So I didn't do anything on Wednesday. I just walked Rex and I pushed the session back to Thursday. But then my mindset, my mentality thinks, shit.
It's all over. The week is lost. I'm actually starting again from scratch, couch to 5K.
So if I'm trying to hit a certain mileage or a certain duration in volume, I've not given myself the grace of that day off. I still have to hit 15 hours of exercise. So yeah, I'm cramming.
Jeez, it is tiring being you, isn't it? Wow.
But this is part of the conversation that we had off air. I am trying to, whether it's right or wrong.
No one would come for me for coaching inquiries if they're like, Eddie, that's quite scary.
Because I'm trying to do 2 long runs. I think the reason why I'm trying to do 2 long runs, one of my local hundreds not failures, sorry, I'll rephrase that. It didn't go the way I wanted it to. One of the things I neglected, I thought, I didn't really do too many back-to-back long runs. But then if you think, so I'm trying to then layer that into the week where 2 or 3 heat sessions a week, a workout a week, there's 4 days, then 2 long runs. That's 6 days of hard stuff. Where do you go from there?
Can you, we won't repeat the coaching call, but you can imagine the chat, how it went. Yeah. What I said. We don't do anything. Yeah. Anyway, you did a session eventually.
I did a session, yeah. So I suppose the point is I'm only doing 1 session a week to try and manage that load. And that doesn't sit well for me because I do like to do 2 or 3 sessions a week. But then, like you rightly said, your long run is a session. The heart rate strain, your heat sessions are definitely sessions too. But it was a 40-minute uphill, kind of up-tempo, so that is at high zone 3. Because anyone who goes to do 40 minutes of graph before you start, I feel, for me personally, that's quite a high mental load to get myself up for doing that. But because of that declining incline, I didn't find the grind so hard. 10 minutes at 15, 10 minutes at 12, 10 minutes at 9, 10 minutes at 6, increasing the pace every time to keep
and
that.
it just feels so good when you step down from 12 to 9 and it feels almost flat and you're like, hip flexors, hello.
Yeah, because you can really open up. It's fantastic when you even 6% normally.
I know it's a grind, isn't it? And then you do it after a 12%, or you've got a 15 on yours, and it feels flat. It feels flat.
The session wasn't supposed to be 15, but I stuck it up to 15.
Of course.
But an insane amount of sweat afterwards on that workout. I'm not too sure if somebody mentioned this, and I think doing the heat sessions brings on early sweat to help with the cooling.
Your heat response is...
Yeah.
Quick and effective. And I am always been an insane sweater. Plus the heat. Now I just like, if I just hoover downstairs, I'm dripping.
I'm still only doing the strength sessions at home currently, and I will give myself a bit of grace. There's a bit of friction mentally between me and going to the gym, but also this week because we're still in the middle of getting stuff done at home. And I don't think so we've got a lot of tradespeople coming in and their quality of work is sensational, but their time management, not so good. And I think young people who maybe don't have as many responsibilities, like they're self-employed, so they can kind of be a bit loosey-goosey, they might not have families. When somebody says to me, I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock, my day revolves around that. And then when they go, oh, sorry, I'm running late, it's going to be 2 o'clock now. That's it. Or then even not turn up.
It's Evie's birthday soon, and so she wanted a gym balance beam. Don't we all, Gary? You probably got it on your...
I love one of those.
I love one of them. Can't wait. I am going to... Might even just be able to walk on it.
You got to film it. Great
in
content.
my leotard. Eves, come on, squeeze me in. Tuck it all in. Anyway, the delivery said it was coming yesterday, and then the guy was like, then I got a text message saying it's not coming. So I jumped on the tread, full heat suit, core suit.
Yeah.
So I look like a murderer, and the core suit is disgusting now. Started off 15 minutes in, Gary. So you've gone through the worst bit of like starting and feeling how you're starting to get hot. Thank God you can start slowing down. Suddenly the dogs go mad. The van drives in. I have to get off the treadmill and appear around the corner. This guy did not know where to look. And the dogs were going mad at him because I just let them out, not thinking that anyone was coming. I couldn't get hold of them.
Thought you were going to murder him.
He was like, is she in that garage cutting up bodies? Oh, he could not deliver that gym beam. And get out of that quick enough. And I was so embarrassed I couldn't make eye contact. And at the same time, all we could hear was Marriage at First Sight Australia blaring from my treadmill. Oh my God.
It is like some scene from a murder movie.
Oh my God. And then I got back on the treadmill. I was so mad because my temperature had gone down like half a degree. And I was like, oh God, I've got to start all over again. Anyway, that was my own. Yeah, that is, I feel you when people are like.
Oh, if I miss the slot. That's it. It is gone. Swaledale Marathon. I thought I'd better do a recce for the Swaledale Marathon route because that's coming up. Oh, sheesh. When is it? Like the 15th or something?
Next weekend, isn't it?
So myself, Robbo and Liam, we popped down to Reeth. Lovely trails. A little bit different to the moors and quite a lot different to the lakes. Like this week's guest, I love a body of water, but not to go in. I like running around a body of water. So visually, it's quite different to the Lake District. But it's such a great route. And I love, although I don't tend to stop it myself, but I always visualise these days with friends, sunny day. Oh, we run past a pub. We'll stop off and buy a pint of Coke.
£5. Oh, £1.45.
Oh, unless I'm remembering wrong, there's at least 2 pubs on the Swaledale Marathon route. So if you time your run right, it's a nice day. You need a little caffeine top up. Coca-Cola in the sunshine. Finished in Reeth.
So Reeth is the Dales Bike Centre. Is that like emergency?
Yeah.
Toilets. I think you filmed me asleep in the toilet there.
Yeah, you'll find us that one. But yeah, it was lovely just finishing. It was quite warm, just a nice busy, nice vibe, eating ice cream on a bench.
Did you think next time I'm here, Eddie's going to be breathing down my neck, about to overtake me into Richmond where she won't be stopping and she'll be pushing on?
Looking at your app and I'll be 2 hours ahead.
I only dream of you being 2 hours ahead there because that is going to just give me, I'll then bury myself.
Yeah. You're not in the trenches just yet, are you, with that race? Well, it was interesting because this week's guest, I'm not too sure if this got edited out or not, but you mentioned maybe Cape Wrath. I wonder how that's going to evolve.
I know. You know, I have done 3 days of Cape Wrath. Yeah. I was there. I was a contender for 3 days. So there's definite unfinished business. It's just that everyone will agree, like, it is such a long time to be away.
It is.
From family and work and stuff. So it's definitely there. I definitely would like to do it, but I don't think I'd get Northern Traverse and Cape Wrath in the diary unless...
We can go head-to-head twice.
Head-to-head, what, twice in...
2017.
2017. We've
2027.
2017. That's scary, though. Yeah, but you're not doing big stuff then after Northern Traverse. You're
talk is cheap, isn't it? It's it small stuff, isn't it? Basically, it's it. Yeah, Sunday I changed my plans. I stayed local. I was going to go to the moors. I thought I'd go and watch and wave some of the Hard Moors 100.
Lovely. Lovely
I know,
idea.
but then
You
it was a
didn't
great
do it.
idea, but I sacked it off. I had to stay up late. Lisa was out boozing in Durham, so I was taxiing.
Bit of Rixies.
No, she was head of steam. Oh, wherever it was 2-for-1 cocktails, she ended up.
I wouldn't know that because we definitely didn't drink cocktails when we were students. Oh, so you had to go and get her. Was that hilarious?
Yeah, she was sometimes, Lisa.
I love drunk friends.
She's a good drunk. My wife is a
Yeah.
good drunk. Until she's gone over the apex. And then it's...
Facial collapse hits in.
yeah,
But oh, that was late for you. How late was that? What time
Oh,
did the
goodness me, I
cocktails
can't,
go
remember,
on
I
till?
can't remember what time. I picked them up, was it like 10:30, half 10, 11, something like that. So that's super late for me.
Yeah.
And I looked at, the reason why I binned it off going to the moors was I looked at the cut-offs for, was it Carlton Bank or Clare Bank? I think it's about 8 o'clock. For me to get down to the moors and see a decent bunch of people would have meant a really, really early alarm call. So I decided, no, recovery won the battle there. But I was in for a treat, so I stayed local. I did the coastal loop and up to the Dean. And when I was running up the coast, I just stopped my watch and took in the view. I think I was going to take a photograph for my Strava.
Pee.
And I saw these seabirds just dive bombing and having their lunch. It would have been absolutely incredible. So I just stopped and soaked it up for a few minutes there. I just needed the big D, David Attenborough, in my ears just to give the scene
Here's a bird.
gravitas. He's not young anymore.
Is he 90? It was his birthday.
99.
Wow, 99.
And I listened to this thing, and we talked about this with Robbo. Tom Hanks does the Americas. He's the narrator for Americas. And I love Tom, but he hasn't got the gravitas. David Attenborough. Who does the voices for these nature programs once?
I quite like, we've been watching on a Sunday night, Simon. He's going around Scandinavia.
Oh, Simon Reeves.
I do like Simon Reeves.
I like Simon Reeves. Good shout.
But I like the way, his manner, the way he explains stuff. And I love a program that's nature, ticks all my boxes. Foreign, so I like seeing other countries because I don't travel. Combining nature, combining the environment, and then learning at the same time with the most beautiful, and then lovely music, cinematography. It ticks all my boxes, that sort of
one
program.
of my favourites. I love Countryfile, Nature Watch.
Cortisol lure.
Yeah.
The only thing with, I always feel with Countryfile, it's slightly like, it's either death or it's like...
There's a lot of death.
There's a lot of death.
The tragedy in the story this week, Michaela was saying what one of her favourite moments was, and I think a blue tit had looked after some great tit eggs, and the great tits hatched. They thought they were blue tits, but other blue tits realised they weren't blue tits, and then they wouldn't partner with them. No, they didn't kill them, but they lived a very short and lonely life, I think, because they couldn't...
Oh, stop it. Yeah, things like that. Sunday night, I'm not in it for that.
Brutal, isn't it?
Steadying away television.
What's the psychology, though, between, when they do the weather for Countryfile?
Oh, I love that. I do love
they're dressed down. They have the Countryfile outfit.
We always laugh going, look, he's gone, what's today? Oh, a lovely tartan blue. Yeah, I'll wear that one. Ooh,
what's the psychology? What's the psychology?
I think it's kind of like, are you doing Countryfile this week? Yeah, you're going real casual. You are wild. You are wild in the aisle.
So 80 miles for the week. I did the workout, mobility, couple of heat, home strength, 2 long runs and some strides.
My God.
On paper, and I appreciate that is a good week. But like Eddie and I chatted about, I'm just feeling my balance is wrong. I'm not feeling it. I want to do more.
We all want to do more.
But I appreciate the things I'm not giving value to.
Isn't it a funny feeling that we all want to do more? You can always do more, but can you recover from more? And that's always the thing. Like, put in another session. Like I want 2 sessions. You would not be able to, even you would have to admit to me on our next coaching call that if you did another workout, you would be 10 days time, both your eyes would be heavily infected with your herpes.
Well, I just need to, I'm not giving enough value to those other sessions.
You're not. I don't think you are giving enough value to what you're doing. And then that little worm in your ear goes...
The app on the core app, it's, again, we talked about this. It's because I gained so much percentage, my personality is leaning towards
And it's
that. Because
also just such a, is it dopamine? The hit that you get after you do those heat sessions, like that, like feeling of like, you don't get, is it because it's new to us? Do you think we get it more? Because like, I don't get that after. If I went and did a hill treadmill session or a hill session, I just feel tired. I don't feel any goodness after it.
I feel good kind of when I'm on that last rep.
Yeah, the last rep, the hips open up at 5%, feeling good. But with the heat, once you're like half an hour into the heat, you start feeling a bit invincible. I felt like when we ran the West Highland Way, I just felt so easy, so comfortable. Definitely everything, my easy runs feel so easy. I'm like running, the heart rate response is there. It does work. But I do think a lot of it is how absolutely heinously horrible it is that when you go back running without it, everything is good. Everything is fine.
Talking about something else that's horrible with heat training, I'm not too sure if you've had this.
Probably. Is it chaffing related?
Eczema.
Well, I saw this and I've got a cream for you.
One of many. Excellent.
So my lovely athlete, Rebecca, she is very concerned about, or as many people are, about my chaffing and then the scratching. So what you need this product called Dermacool. Tools and soothe the skin. I totally agree. You might need some extra, like steroid cream as well. Is it your back?
No, my right foot.
I think you need some sort of antibiotic for your general body.
My feet, you know what, if I'm going to take a hit
Why
somewhere,
your
my
feet?
feet are right off anyway, so I'll take eczema on my foot too.
Oh, yeah, I think probably a cream then. Some sort of cream, I think.
But only my right foot for some reason. But my back, super itchy all of the time.
Oh, yeah. Try that cream. It works a treat.
Finished off the week with this trip. It feels like I've been chatting for ages. This is not
Because I've
normally.
interrupted you about 20 times as well.
I went to see the latest Mission Impossible.
We can't wait. We've got this loaded on our Skybox as soon as you can buy it.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I've seen other films that I think, wow, that's out early, but it's not yet. It's just ready, teasing you. It's a great film. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's not, because my hopes were so high.
Yeah.
It didn't quite deliver. I think it could have been a little bit shorter, although it did keep us entertained. I wasn't like looking at my watch.
Because we'll watch this at home. It'll take us about a week probably to watch it.
Oh, no, Eddie.
I wouldn't. When would I find like 3 hours to watch
I watched the film, Lisa and I watched Drive years ago, and this is a high stress film. Ryan Gosling, you love it, Eddie.
Oh, I would if he's in it.
Stuntman, stunt driver. There you go.
Okay, yeah. Sign me up.
But my son came downstairs, this when George was a lot younger, at a very crucial moment when the tension was rising. So we had to stop it. And then when he went to bed, we cranked it back up. But all our stress had lapsed and we just couldn't quite get in the moment after that. So yeah, I don't know if you had watched this in multiple sessions. I think it deserves, not that I'm an authority.
Tom deserves respect.
An 8 out of 10. I expected 10 out of 10. But what I did notice, this is 2025. I think we should do better. The age gap between Tom and the leading ladies has got to be about 20 years.
Who's the leading lady? What's the film called?
Oh, Last Reckoning. Now, and you flip it around the other way. I can't remember, unless that is the theme of the movie, like something like The Graduate with, was it Anna Bancroft and Dustin Hoffman? That is an integral part of the story, but it's 2025.
Hayley Atwell is her name. Let's see how old she is. ChatGPT, searching the web.
Great content, this.
Oh, she's 43.
Well, Tom's 62.
Oh, you're right.
He's definitely over 60. You're going to Google
Tom Cruise age.
I've got no problem with that whatsoever, but you just never really see it the other way around, unless that is an integral part of the story.
Yeah, there's so much to be said about this, isn't there? He's 62, 20 years younger. But to be fair, I mean, I'm 34, and if Tom came round, I'd get on the helicopter with him.
I thought it was a little bit repetitive. You know, Tom's hanging off a plane. Tom's underwater. Tom's got his top off. Tom's running.
Fine. Yep.
They loved a running scene with Tom Cruise. It is absolutely.
Do you think they do, or do you think Tom does? That he's like, right, guys, this is my running day.
I think he's an important part of the script creation. So yeah, he will write in. He's a good runner, strong runner.
He does his strides.
Was it Chris Pratt, the dude who Parks and Rec, and he did Jurassic World?
Yeah, Chris Pratt,
he gave himself a distinctive running style just so he would stand out on screen. It was an anecdote on Graham Norton's show a few years ago.
Is that what you do?
Anyway, that's my week.
Oh, it sounds a fun week. You fit in so much and you don't give yourself grace for that of how much you do. So kudos to you. No kudos to Eddie for last week. I tell you what, I will give myself kudos because I listened to my body and I scrapped the week because Eddie was a little bit wiped out. I can't remember when we recorded it. It was quite early in the week we recorded the podcast, wasn't it? Anyway, I took Monday off because I'd just run 120 miles and was quite tired. And then I was going to just have a normal, I thought, a couple of easy days and I'll be back to it. Anyway, and then I took Tuesday off because I didn't get up. I had to get up early to get to run at 5:30. I just wasn't in it, Gary. It was because I'd run a lot of miles and the back end of those miles, I hadn't had any fuel and the fuel, I just felt like I had been sucked dry. There was nothing. And I just didn't have the energy for life. I had so much to catch up on. And I was just like the last thing. I just was like a zombie.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wednesday, woke up, ding, 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 I feel like going for a run. So I was like, oh, thank God. I thought it was all over. I was going to have to come on the podcast and say I've retired. I just did 5 miles. I felt fine. I was like, let's just see how you feel afterwards. Got my appetite back, got my calories back in. But decided from then on, I was like, well, I'm not going to then now try and smash myself for the rest of the week. Now is not your time. I had a little look back on my training and I was like, I actually haven't had a decent recovery week for about 10 weeks. I've been holding between 12 to 15 hours worth of training every week. I hadn't sort of planned a recovery week, but then let's just go with it. We were busy. We had friends staying, which was lovely. So I thought, I'm just going to go with it. So next Thursday comes round. Things are non-negotiable that I always do in a recovery week is I still do my strength work and I still try and do a little mini workout just to keep the legs going. So Thursday, I got the strength done. And then Friday, I did my total classic. I just added a little bit onto it, the classic 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but I added 6 at the start and did 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pinging along quite nicely. Bryn was at home, so I didn't have to take the dogs, which then means a lot of less, which makes me sad because I do like a bit of gate faff because I'm going and I'm like, oh, you want to have a stiff? Let's all just rest. But then I felt fine. So I was like, I'm fine. But then the weekend, there was no way I was going to get a long run in. So I was just like, I just have to distance myself then from Strava, from the seeing all the stats to go down. Don't check core. Don't do anything. Yeah. Just let it go. I just ran some easy runs, half my normal volume, Gary, of which
that would trigger me.
I know, but very important to listen to the body. That what would I have got out of running? My HRV is the lowest it's ever been, and it still is, Gary. Wow. My resting heart rate is high. Being that sick, it really, my body's still like, I do not feel good. So you totally do. If you do wear these biometric things, you do have to listen to it at some point. And also just give yourself a bit of grace to dial into everything. And I've done endurance enough. I know when to have a little rest. So yeah, I'm annoyed at myself that I didn't just plan it. And then I would have had a lot less like, oh God, I feel so, should I run to it? I should have just gone. That was a massive week. And then you weren't very well. You are going to pay for that next week. Yeah. We always do, don't we? If we do something massive, I always think, I can just come back. I'll be fine. And then I did pay for it a little bit, but then this week it's going great. So I feel much better. Yeah, my HRV is still really bad, but I think that is just a symptom of being really busy as well. Being really busy. And I am so pleased I'm not doing the Ultra Scotland 100 race because I'd be ready to be going.
Quite stressful.
And it takes me I took 4 days off work to go and do the West Highland Way. Yeah. And my job is very reactive. It's fine as long as I'm on it every day and know what everyone's doing. 4 days away from training peaks is then quite a lot to catch up on and recatch. So I'd have to do that again. Oh my gosh.
Well, we see it just with the podcast, and I can't imagine you've got X amount of clients who you are fully invested in to be off grid for that amount of time. A lot of pressure there.
Yeah. So it wasn't, but we went to a concert, Gary, on Saturday night. You were at the cinema, or was that Sunday night you were at the cinema? Well, Lisa was at the cocktail bar. I was at a concert, dancing away. Took the kids to their first concert. I have to say, I think teenagers were like, yeah, it's good, but we're playing it cool, Mum? The worst thing about it, Gary, was it was in a big, estate. It was at a castle, so it's outside. And there was lots of messages before saying, you can't bring umbrellas in. Oh. And the forecast was not good. You can bring in a small picnic rug. You can't bring any food or drink in.
Yeah.
But you can bring empty water bottles, which you can refill. So, of course, I took my massive Precision Fuel Hydration water bottle, my rucksack, my picnic bag, but I didn't take any food. And then when we got in, and that was quite looking forward to, was like, we can go and choose our snack of some terrible, kids will have like burgers and chips and stuff. The clientele of this, this concert was, let's just say, when Bryn arrived, he said, I think the security measures are safe here. Looking around, I think people could have brought their umbrellas, as most people were in regatta coats and safety.
Would have kicked off brolly etiquette.
Brolly etiquette. Anyway, it's because of the age of the audience and the sort of concert that it was, there was massive beer marquee with those barriers out so that people could queue around the barriers. No queue, Gary. There was nobody buying beer. There was one an old horse box selling tea and coffee. My lovely friend said, I'm going to get you a cup of tea, Eddie. I'm on it. I'll go and queue. An hour and a half she queued for my cup of tea.
I'd have got a pint.
She should have just got me a pint. She missed all the good bands. And I was like loving it. So I kept getting carried away. And then I was like, she's still not back. Anyway, I went and joined her for like the last 5 minutes, took the glory, bought 2 cups of tea because I thought, I'm not going back here and I'm going to need a big hit. But it was so late. So the band, again, because I'm a Virgin band concert goer, not been for a long time, we got there at 5 and the main band didn't come onto the stage till 8:45.
Yeah.
But I loved all the support acts, so I wouldn't have missed all that. But by the time they came on the stage, Party and Disco Eddie had done a bit. And I was like, oh no, I've peaked. I've not got much left in me. I was okay. And it was a 2-hour drive away. So I was just going, oh my God. And they started and I was like really enjoying it. And then I looked at my watch and it was like 9:30. And I was thinking, we've got 100 miles to drive home. Looked at my watch again, 10:15. I was like, this is going to be so late. We got in so we left before the end, which felt terrible. Got in the car, 11 o'clock. And then the sat nav goes, time to destination 106. 106, Gary!
You're in deep. I would have just stayed. You're already burnt the
we
matches.
had to get up because the kids had football the next day. I was like, oh my God, this is so much. Kids got in the car and they're like, we can't sleep. And there's not often they're all in the back seat and they're all pretty big now.
Yeah.
And so they said, Finley said, can I put my nice music on that I go off to sleep to? So he put on this like whale, plinky plonky music. Poor Bryn trying to drive us home going, oh my God, and the music's going, and the kids all fast asleep. Me,
that's the last thing you need.
Not to be asleep going, you doing all right? Are you doing all right? Anyway, it was really fun. The week was like, it was a sort of bit of a washout training, but I am actually fine with that. I feel good this week. I'm glad I did that. And it was really nice at the weekend to I didn't have to get up to do a long run because I was like, I'm going to wipe that off. I'm not going to do that. It's really fun to do something different, to see the kids enjoy doing something different. And then a little bit of a reset because I've got 2 months now to race across Scotland. So it's actually really great timing to have a little reset. And now I'm like, I've signed up now for my non-negotiables. What I'm actually I have to do this. And my non-negotiable, I have no problem heat suit training. I have no problem doing the long run. What I really have problems doing is the friggin' boring core weights. They're just so I'm like, get it done early.
Brutal abs.
And then as soon as I start doing my weights, I really enjoy it. I feel the benefits hugely over anything else. I feel the benefits in my running if I do heavy weight. So non-negotiables, 2 months to go. We're back on the train. Big week downloading. Here we go. So a message to all of you. Do not ever be scared. I always think if you get a little niggle, those little whispers we talk about, 3 days rest, you can almost nearly get on top of a little calf niggle, little hamstring niggle. As runners, I think our first sign is if you go, I really don't want to run, is such a good sign of I'm cooked. What is it? Chickens in the pot. Cook it. Did you used to watch that? What was that program?
No,
the Unit or something. Chickens in the pot. Cook it.
Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration for supporting Brew the Coaches. Their website and newsletters are such good sources of knowledge, articles to read, and YouTube content to binge on too. On YouTube, you can learn how to fuel an ultra marathon, what pro runners carry on race day, and how to nail your marathon prep. Hopefully back off to Swaledale this week, and it's going to be fine-tuning that nutrition. So I'm going to go with my favourite carb and electrolyte drink from Precision Fuel and Hydration, but I'm going to go 3 scoops instead of 2 scoops, just to get that extra carb. I've had in the past where I've overloaded like the drink side of things. It's given me a bit of burn in my throat as the day progresses. So that's going to be the tactic, because my tactic is like 60 grams of carb through gels or chews or whatever it is. But then if I've got 45 grams of carb in each bottle, that's going to maybe add another, say, 15 grams of carb per half hour. So that's the tactic. This week's question comes from an anonymous listener, and that's totally fine. If you're thinking, oh, I've got a question, but I don't want to share my deets, that's totally fine. Send it in as anonymous.
Secret safe with Gary.
This week's question is from an anonymous listener. Hi, I wonder whether you might touch upon this delicate subject, as I'm sure I'm not the only one who's experienced this. I'm new to ultra running, having run only marathon distance previously. Last weekend, I completed my first 50k. Kudos. The training had been rocky towards the end of the training block, as I'd been suffering from plantar fasciitis for a long while. I've had 2 children, the eldest being 6, and I've worked hard to regain strength in my pelvic floor. However, I was horrified to notice that I was suffering from urinary incontinence from around the 30k mark. This really detracted from the experience and sense of achievement, as although I completed the race in the time frame I'd set myself, I was hugely self-conscious and embarrassed that people might be able to tell. I'm guessing I'll need to work my ass off to avoid it happening again, as I've got a 45 miler planned for later in the year, but really wanted to reach out. Yeah, it's fascinating. And obviously I've got no experience whatsoever with this. So straight over to you, Eddie.
Firstly, you shouldn't feel ashamed or horrified or self-conscious about this, because I'm afraid it's part of running. Everybody, men and women, probably do a little tinkle at some point due to extreme pressure. Also, your pelvic floor does get tired. And so however much strength work you do as well, once you start hitting that longer running mark as well, it will weaken. And it also will, just the running impact will mean that you might have a little bit of leakage as well. My first point of call for you, dear friend, is to find a female health physio and go and get your pelvic floor checked by a professional. It sounds like you've done the right sort of thing, doing your exercises. Your kids are still quite young as well. And if you've had a bit of plantar fasciitis as well, you might not have been doing as much running and impact training as well. That might have meant that your pelvic floor is weakened a little bit. So I would go and get it checked by a professional, who then will be able to give you a bit of a scale and be able to say, like, right, you've still got quite a lot of work to do. Here are your exercises. All be able to say, look, it's strong. It's just a part of the process of running a long way, as well as that this might happen. Don't be embarrassed about it. Don't be embarrassed about going to seek help, but also don't be embarrassed that if you are out on the trail and you're running a long way, that bodily functions, I'm afraid, are part of ultra running as well. But definitely go and seek some help. Make sure that the exercises you're doing your exercises right, which is really hard with pelvic floor exercises, is that you're actually using and isolating the right muscles as well. So I would say put a little bit of money and time aside into, especially as it's really affecting your enjoyment of the running, working out that the pelvic floor is right, there's not a little bit of damage you need to look into there, and that the exercises you're doing them the right way. Don't let it stop you in any way. Lots of people wear period pants, which help absorb the wee a little bit, so that if you're worried about leaking or showing, and wearing dark coloured shorts as well. But I can assure you, nobody cares. Nobody cares when they're running, because it's not only normal, but also they're probably trying not to wet themselves by doing such big running events as well. But kudos for reaching out. And I know that lots of people will be in the same boat. And if you are in the same boat and it's something that affects your enjoyment of running, and that you really notice this as a man or a woman, but especially as a woman, then there are some really good, and it's a very under-resourced, and we're not pointed towards them, but a female health physio is the best place to go and get this checked as well, because the pelvic floor is a really important, it is a part of your core. And it might be, you say you suffer from plantar fasciitis. If your pelvic floor is not strong, it is what is supporting the whole of your body. So it's really important to make sure that it is strong and it is functioning properly as well. Trish, my fellow pant wetter.
Yes, I mean, I personally think if you haven't peed in your pants at least a little bit, are you even trying in an ultra? Yeah, 100% what Eddie said. It's in terms of what you should do. See an appropriate physio. To be honest with you, I've had quite a few clients who've had this kind of issue, and the vast majority of them, it just becomes part of what they do. It hasn't got a lot better for a lot of them, and I'd say again, women of a certain age who've had kids, it really is quite a big issue. So really, don't worry about it. And I know it's much easier to say don't worry about it. Coach so many people who've had this type of issue. And also number 2 issues as well. It's really common with ultra running. Everyone's battling something at the end of the day. 100% black shorts if you're feeling a little bit subconscious about it. I've got different colour shorts, and I've got a pair of blue shorts, and even if I don't wet my pants, it looks like I've wet my pants from sweat, from crutch sweat basically. So
Trish, dreamy, send us photos.
Yeah, so if you're running and we're in the same race, just run next to me, and I'll distract everyone for you with my lovely
crotch
blue
sweat.
shorts.
It's crotch, guys. It's not wee. It's actually, I've smelt it, and it is actually crotch sweat.
I mean, you can't tell the difference to me. I might have weed, I might not. Who knows?
I just let it all flow because I just find it easier as well. This is terrible. This is overshare, guys, but this is what you come for. When I run downhill, I have to let my pelvic floor go, and I just wet myself when I run really fast downhill because I just let everything go, and it just feels easier
Let it
go. Here we go. Also, if I've got really long, hard downhill, I do wee at the top. Me and my mum friends, when we used to run together, we'd be like, before we turn to run down the hill, we'd be like, we stop, and we'd empty our bladders, and there'd be a little bit less total pant wettage. Yeah. But we joke and we mock and we laugh at ourselves, but we want to reassure you that it is so common. And yes, the professionals will tell us it's not normal to wet your pants when you sneeze and laugh, and you shouldn't, you should be able to jump on a trampoline. But I'm afraid that the data of women that say we do says that there is something that I'm afraid the pelvic floor after childbirth age, it's never going to be as strong, but you can do your exercises. But I would just say, if you really suffer, and also if it really affects your enjoyment, get just some professional reassurance, because you might just need to hear, look, it's strong. I'm afraid it's just you've run a long way and you're bashing your pelvic floor, and it's just going to be a bit leak, and that might make you feel better, or you might get right. You got it. Yeah, it is weak, but we can work on this and we can get stronger together.
Do the 45 miler. Just do it. Just do
it. We are there with you. Pant Wetters Anonymous. Woo. Together forever. Thanks, Phoenix Light, for sponsoring this week's interview. The best design comes from actual needs of users. Phoenix takes providing mobile lighting products with excellent performance as the goal, and born for harsh environments as its mission. Never forget where you started, and your mission can be accomplished. Don't forget your patrons, you Patreons. Your Patreons can enjoy 10%. And all you lovely listeners get 5% off with the code TNT5. Pop over to www.phoenixlight.co.uk. This week we're joined by Sarah Ingram after her Cape Wrath victory. I just say about my Phoenix head torch as well, Gary, as I was running this morning at 6:00, bright sunshine, lovely birds singing, I thought, take it all in, Eddie, because 6 months' time, I've forgotten what it's like. I was like, I was in my head going through my winter layers of like, there's a layer, there's your gloves, get your head torch on. Oh, no.
It's like 2 weeks or something, then it starts getting dark again.
You start smelling autumn, and I'm like, oh, no, because it's so easy. I had shorts and T-shirt. I refuse to wear anything else come June when I'm running. No head torch, no gloves. Get on, get out.
Yeah. Sometimes.
We don't even think about head torch. I can't remember the last time I wore a head torch.
Winter is coming.
No, shut up. Right, let's go and listen to Sarah.
Well, if our chat gets your juices flowing, then entries for the 2026 Cape Wrath Ultra and other events. There's multiple distances there. You don't have to do the big full ultra.
Well, I was thinking about that, Gary. I thought, but then I don't think I could swindle 10 days away and go and not do the full thing.
It's work.
Yeah, I did. That's exactly what I thought. I thought, could I swing it on the work work hard. But it's not just that, because Bryn would be like, yeah, he would be totally supportive, but it's more my heartstrings of leaving the kids for that long after as well, having just done Northern Traverse. I think we have to stop it. We're tempting ourselves and we're bad for each other. Naughty.
Well, yeah, entries are now open and definitely is a bucket list adventure race. What did you do there?
I just moved the column so that I could read the questions.
Okay. No more touching it. Stop touching. Honed in the peat bogs of the Dark Peak and the Lake District, Rain, suffering enthusiast, and of the belief that not much in life can't be improved with a cup of Yorkshire tea or a dunk in a cold body of water. That's not an AI intro this week, Sarah. That is your own handiwork, your Cape Wrath bio. That's incredible.
Yeah, probably lucky it wasn't an AI one, because as I say, I don't think there would be a great deal on there. But I actually wrote that I completely forgotten I'd written it. You write it when you first sign up. We were actually on our honeymoon in the Swiss Alps, and it was like a very spontaneous sign up to Cape Wrath, very spontaneous, but also in the running for about 5 or 6 years. And I just wrote that thing, completely forgot about it. And then it came to the event and everyone was like, oh, this bio.
Yeah, you sound like you're a real, like this, you could be like a poet with that sort of.
No, very silly.
I need to know your tea deeds, though. This is very, very serious. How do you make your brew?
Nice,
what are the stages? I go tea bag, hot water, roughly 4 minutes, and then semi-skimmed.
4 minutes? How much time do you have in your life? I'm a dunk and a clunk. Just get it in there, get out.
It can't be. So I'm also highly specific, but I have to draw the line. I have to delineate between if I'm making it for my parents or with my parents.
Okay.
They have always taught me it's made in a pot. You warm the pot. You put 2 tea bags in. It has to be Yorkshire tea. That's not debatable. And then put hot water in. Leave it to brew. I have to confess, and they might listen to this.
Just move on, Sarah's mum and dad. It's like you'll never know the truth.
In the real world, in the busy life, tea bag in the cup, boiling water straight in, forget, wander off, come back completely stewed, and then.
But I'm always quite happy when I've forgotten it, and I come back and it's that stewed, and I'm like, dude.
Oh yeah,
Are your taste buds so sensitive though? If you turned up around our house and I served you some Tesco tea?
Well, the thing is, I don't know, because I think it's more psychological, because I got caught out the other day. I can't remember when it was, but someone made me a brew, and I obviously assumed it was Yorkshire. It was something completely different, and I was like, oh, this is the best cup of tea I've ever had.
It could have been Tetley. Could have been Tetley.
Yeah, so I think it's probably more how desperate you are for tea.
What was it at Cape Wrath? I think it's Yorkshire tea.
I don't actually know, to be honest. I did bring my own little stash of Yorkshire, just not for the whole, not for all the tea, but just for a few if needed at a moment of desperation, and also some peppermint tea, because at night time peppermint tea is essential.
That's precious cargo though, when the grams drop back.
I was like, throw out the other pair of socks, only one pair of running shorts the whole week, that's fine, but tea is essential.
I carried about 10 tea bags along the West Highland Way, and I brought them all back because every campsite had tea bags. It was incredible, but I was prepared to carry them for 100 miles, because if I'd got somewhere and there wasn't any tea bags, I'd have gone home. What's the point?
It's race ending, really.
It's definitely day ending, life ending.
Yeah, life ending.
Well, a warm welcome from everyone at the Tea and Trails podcast. And it is just over a week since your Cape Wrath Ultra win. We had a little chat before we started recording there, but for our listeners, how's recovery going? Because 8 days on the trails, well, I know from 6 days anyway, that took its toll on me.
I feel like I've been riding on such a high since it finished. I don't know, it was just so euphoric, start to finish, the whole thing, and then culminating in this just, incredible finish. And then the evening when we celebrated afterwards was just so fun. I've been so pleasantly surprised with how my body has recovered. Yeah, I was saying, we were chatting before, Hannah, it was quite a crash back to reality, because it was pretty rapidly back into the shifts in A&E, which was a harsh reintroduction to real life, because we were chatting, and when you're actually there in amongst it, obviously it's hard physically, but it is very simple in terms of all you have to do is look after yourself and keep putting one foot in front of the other. And it is actually such a stripped back, simple life. And it's just pure joy. And then you come back and all these things that you've been ignoring.
That's the worst, isn't it? When
crashing
you have a
down.
big race and you're like, I'll do that after. I'll do that after. I'll do that after.
Your inbox is rammed with emails.
I mean, I was really incredibly surprised with how the legs recovered. Obviously felt pretty achy for a couple of days, but then pretty quickly by the middle of the week they were feeling fine. My feet, I was really, really happy with my feet. They've somehow been okay. But it was the brain and the mind that I really noticed took the hit going through into last week. I just felt so dazed and out of it and scrambled. When I was back at work, I was less worried about because obviously you're on your feet most of the time. That was actually, in advance I'd been worried about that, but that was completely fine. But it was more focus and attention span, and completely lost the ability to multitask. So I'd be doing, which is obviously quite essential in ED. And even at home, like I'd be trying to cook something, which normally I can kind of,
bish bash bosh. Yeah.
And if Ben would ask me a question while I was doing it, I would literally be like, I can't deal with this overload. What are you doing? What do you want from me?
I imagine it is a sensory overload, especially with like 8 days on the trails. Yeah, you got camp life, which is quite condensed, but then you're off for hours and hours and hours on your own, and then to be crash bang wallop in full-time, busy job. We ask all our guests, where are you? What's the view from your window? And have you been for a run today?
Well, I am in sunny Sheffield. Well, it was actually pouring this morning, but the sun's come out. So just at home, the view from my window is actually out into my little garden, which holds a big place in my heart when I'm not running. So there are lots of flowers and veg and things that squeeze into
Do you do yard work, Sarah? Because you do yard work, because I'm always saying to Bryn, I don't do yard work because I'm an athlete and I got hamstrings.
I love it. I think it's part of the conditioning.
Don't say that.
All my excuses are gone now. No way.
But that's the view. And just checking how many of my sort of various courgette plants and various things have been munched by the slugs overnight. And I am ashamed to say I haven't been for a run. Well, I'm not that ashamed.
No, I'm glad.
Got home from work at about 1:30 last night. So all I've really done so far is drink tea and a token bit of mobility. So but I hopefully will be getting back out. I have returned to running since Get Rough. Yeah, I think my legs felt fine, and then I tried to run and they were like, creak.
So creaky, and they just feel like empty stumps, don't they? When you're like, what?
But I would find that I'd get better. Like by the end of the run, I felt better.
Yeah.
But actually, swimming's been the one since finishing. So open water swimming. There's a lovely Lido in the Peak District that I love to go to. So, and that's just much more gentle on all of the creaking joints. So,
what is my wife loves open water swimming. What's your favourite body of water?
I really got into it initially when I lived in Cornwall. I used to live at a beach called, just literally 5 minutes from a beach called St Agnes on the north coast. And we used to do this amazing sort of swim. You could do like a triangle out to the buoy. But sea swimming's pretty punchy with all the like waves breaking over your head and the tides and things.
And the octopuses.
Yeah, all the and also just the general the fear when you're suddenly out like 800 metres out and then you're like, but what could be lurking?
The bodies, it's always the hands, I'm sure, are going to come up. And
but the local is got a lovely spot called Redmires. But to be honest, my absolute favourite would be in the lakes. I mean, any of them really, but probably Buttermere and Crummock are just absolutely
beautiful. So you've not been for a run yet, but if we turned up at your door, where are you going to take us? What are the local highlights?
Oh, we are so lucky. I was chatting to so many people. I was basically banging on about Sheffield the whole time in camp life. So where we live in Sheffield, sort of southwest, area called Greystones, and all you have to do is go for sort of 100 metres or so on the road from our front door, and then you're in the park. And then you can basically just link Endcliffe Park, Bingham Park, and then you're on a trail that literally takes you to Stanage, like Burbage, Stanage.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that like the hour and a half loop from the door, you just kind of get up to the Gritstone edges, and all sort of beautiful area, kind of Redmires, Rudd Hill, and it's you're right onto the moorland, kind of single track, heather, bog if you need it, but some lovely trails. It's just incredible. Or if you've got a bit more time and you're happy to drive out, so you can just drive kind of 20 minutes from the door, and then you can be on the proper Kinder
Yeah.
Derwent, Wicklow.
Years ago, it was a long distance walking event, so it wasn't a race. Apologies.
Oh.
Baslow Boot Bash. Is that?
So that actually, I would say this winter, sort of, getting the training in for Cape Wrath. I was working in a hospice not far from Baslow, sort of near, just on the outskirts of Chesterfield.
Yeah.
And my commute was literally through Baslow, White Edge, all of those ones. And so and I love like those wintry runs in the dark where you're just driving home from work, you just pull up in the, like the Kerber Gap lay-by between Kerber, Froggatt.
Watch out. Gary will know all the lay-bys, but not for running purposes.
I mean, in fairness, the number of times I've in that lay-by got changed, you pull up and you pitch back. There's like another car there, maybe with its lights on, maybe not. And you do like a quick sports bra, normal bra, sports bra on.
We need a checklist so we don't kind of unwittingly invite people over to our vehicles.
I don't mind. Come on over. Can they
lean
lube
on
my back? Because that's always really tricky when you're on your own.
Yeah, and then you accidentally lean on the horn or the headlights and they think you're doing an invitation.
So you talked about you entered Cape Wrath when you're on your honeymoon, was it? That you were... Was it on your radar already? Where was the sort of like seed sown for the race?
I was trying to remember exactly when it first came into my imagination, but it was, I would say, at least 5 or 6 years ago. I think I heard about it. There's a sort of a friend who'd done it, friend of a friend, like in our friendship group, Lisa Watson, who's an absolute weapon. She did it more recently, and I think the more people I kind of heard about who did it, I was just like, this looks incredible. And I haven't explored it enough at all, but Scotland and Scottish Highlands. My husband Ben used to live in Scotland, and I think he is thrilled because now that I've done this race, I'm like, we must go to Scotland more. And he's like, Sarah, I've been telling you this for 4 years. But yeah, so I was just aware of it, and I love multi-day things. I think I'm really lucky in that it basically just, the race felt like it was made for me because it's just, I don't know, I think I'm quite lucky with recovery. One day to the next.
Sounds like it. What other multi-days had you done before Cape Wrath?
So I hadn't done any multi-day races. Well, actually, I've done GL3D, and I suppose I guess is a small multi-day.
Yeah, definitely.
But the longer things I've done have more been kind of self-organised. So I did the autumn of 2020. When I was living down in Cornwall, I ran sort of the Cornish Coast Path over 14 days, and I had my mum and my husband, then partner. We hired this van, and it was so cool. They'd like drive between, and they'd run little bits of it with me, and basically give me all the food, like all
and the tea. Your mum would be like, "It's not brewed, the tea yet. You can't have it yet."
And then just camp in this little van and just sort of bivvy, and that was amazing. And that was probably the first thing that I'd done where I was like, I think the legs can like wake up the next day and just do it again.
So what made you think of doing that? Like,
I'd always thought that mountain running was much more my bag, but the coast path, it is unbelievable. And it's just these it's quite varied, but there's just incredible single track. It's never big hills at all, as in you're not talking Scotland or even the lakes, really. It's quite brutal because it's sort of constant undulations, and they're never long enough that you feel like they're all probably, apart from some sort of really steep ones.
If you were doing like an hour run, you'd just run it all. But then it's accumulation, isn't it?
Is it something like about 100 metres is like the highest?
Yeah, that's the biggest one, I think, on the arc. Yeah.
But it's just, it's like relentless. And some of them have these massive steps that are literally like thigh-high steps, so it just completely destroys.
Who are these people that make these giant steps that
my legs are so short?
My legs are so short too, and I'm like, I can't bend my leg enough to get, I like have to like almost go sideways to go. Who is it that went perfect height? Yes, just at the waist, and we'll just drop them off there.
I think of you, Eddie, as very, very leggy, very tall.
Oh yes, do keep that picture. Keep that picture of a long.
My ratio of torso to leg is hilarious. So I don't know. Yeah, the longest torso, like as in literally when I sit next to my 6 foot whatever husband, sitting down, we're the same height, but his legs are just like,
Amazing.
which makes it very difficult to keep up on the trails.
Yeah,
So,
the giants that make this trail. I love that. I like that you haven't got a big, because I think people listening might be, and I think Kate Ruth is a great example of it, that you don't need to be from a massive racing pedigree. You don't need to have done heaps of 100-milers. It's the sort of thing you need experience of being self-sufficiency, of being out in the mountains, of stacking days back to back, knowing how that feels. Because people might be put off entering going, oh, I've not done, a 100-mile race. Well, actually, it's totally different to a 100-mile race because you're not out for that amount of time ever. But you just need that experience of being like the pit and the mountains and stuff.
I mean, I did have a few moments, the imposter syndrome continues, like being on here, being at the race. Like I was definitely in my tent and the girls are like, oh yeah, so when I did my 300k race, or oh yeah, when I did my first 100 miler, and I was like, I mean, obviously I have done races. I've not done none, but I think it's much, especially something like Kate Ruth, it's so much more because you never feel like you're really racing. It's more just big days out in the hills. If I don't have much of a race background, I've got definitely big background in hill walking from literally the day dot.
We always find that when we talk to people in the podcast and we're like, where did you come from? And they're going, well, I have walked the length of Africa, which I did when I was 5. There's always like a background. There's always like a history of being in the fells. So when you're getting the boat at Kate Ruth to the start, you're not thinking competitively, or are you secretly a little bit competitive? You're just thinking, I'm just here, I'm just going to do the route and just...
Again, everyone keeps asking me this, like, did you know deep down that you might...
Yeah, they all want you to be like, I had splits, I had a laminated card.
Well, I'm interested though, apart from, spoiler, you crushed it, but did you have a pacing plan and that was successful and it just so happened to coincided you won the race?
I had roughly figured out how long I thought it might take me each day. I actually literally went back on previous, because Ben and I have spent lots of big days in the hills in Scotland, just looking at roughly how long, because it's so different. It's so dependent on the terrain and the conditions, the mileage, the weather. So I just had a really rough idea of how long it might take me. My main thing, and this sounds really cheesy and like I've kind of made it up in retrospect, but whole thing going into it was just, this is an incredible opportunity to be in these super remote places. Running the trail as what I would normally do, which I guess just a sort of self-organised thing, is just impossible on that trail because it is so remote and the logistics would be horrendous. I mean, just literally impossible because unless you just walked it with like a 70-litre pack, you couldn't do it. So I was just really excited to have those sort of days, like big days in the mountains. Also, like, you don't actually really go up any of the mountains, but sort of surrounded by them. Because in the camp they have these 3 screens where they have like the forecast, the mountain weather, the tracker, so you can see who's still out on the course, and then the results so far. And literally for the first 3 days, I literally wasn't checking it at all because I was like, I had no idea where I was. And then people started coming up to me and were like, oh, kind of in the spike yet, like what's your plan, what's going on? And it was just very surreal. In fact, I had my dad text me on the first day being like, oh, Sarah, you're in 4th place. I think you might have gone up too hard. Just calm down. Just calm down.
But I think was it day 3 you moved into a podium position? Did then your mindset shift a bit? Were you thinking, oh yeah, we're competitive now?
I came into the race so tentative because I'd had this knee injury from February. I mean, it's a really chronic thing, but I had a massive flare up in February where I basically couldn't run at all for 6 weeks. I'd run the Dales Way with a friend over 3 days, just as a kind of to do some back-to-back days, and it just completely flared up.
What is it? A bit of runner's knee or
very chronic? It was to do with sort of a weak right glute initially, and I think it's just some kind of patellofemoral joint dysfunction. I'd convinced myself it was something terrible. I mean, I saw my incredible physio
no cartilages left. It's just bone on bone.
Literally. I mean, supposedly have a medical degree, but I saw my physio in Sheffield. And I was like, Kim, I wonder if this is some early arthritis, or have I got a stress fracture, or could this be a meniscus? And she was like, have you been to medical school? And she was, I am generally in life a massive optimist. Like, I mean, at the expense of ridiculous blind optimism, everything would be fine. But with this, I'd really gone into pessimism. And I saw her and she was like, you'll be fine. Even if you don't run, I think this was like a couple of months before the start. she was like, even if you don't run between now and then and you just get to the start line pain free, you'll do it, you'll be fine. I think it was on day 4 that I went into first place, because then I was kind of starting to be aware of it. You're literally not even halfway through.
Yeah.
And I was just like, anything could happen. I might, run out tomorrow and get knee pain and have to call it. So I just didn't want it to become. And that wasn't what I was there. I wasn't there for the racing side of it.
No.
That said, on end of day 6, at that point, right, I was like, it kind of come into my radar, and that was the end of the longest day. And I think at that point, I'd sort of put 40 minutes on the next woman. I think that was the point when I was like, maybe I don't want to give it. I could win this, and maybe I want to win it. Like maybe I do want it.
It's like an Indiana Jones film, and you got it, and you were like, "No, I don't want it. I don't want it." And then you took it, and then you were like, "No, I can't give it back."
There in front of
I can't give it back now. I got it.
But I think what I really didn't want, because I don't come from a racing background, I didn't want the actual finish and the final day to become this like elbows
horrendous.
Because I like dreamed of that day, that incredible.
Yeah, you weren't there for that, were you?
And just the sort of the joy and the sort of euphoria of finishing it. So my then strategic brain was like, well, what I need to do is absolutely destroy day 7, but then mean that I can go into day 8 so that I don't even have to race it.
Day 8's really short, isn't it? Was it like 11 miles?
Oh yeah. It's really short, and so. Yeah. I think I'd come out from day 7, which was then actually my favourite day. And then the weather turned, and then I felt like I was actually in Scotland, because it was like the rain and wind and bog, and just felt like you're up on Kinder. And I just was totally in my element, had a really good day. And then I think came out of day 7 sort of 140 up.
Yeah.
And then it was so nice, because there was like a bit of argy-bargy in the kind of then podium positions, and I was like, oh, this is great, I can just have a lovely day. and then I just really enjoyed, like, that last day was just so beautiful, and you see that lighthouse from quite early on, and you just like, it's just lovely.
That must be lovely, because that kind of lead on an 11-mile day, something spectacular has got to happen for you to lose your lead.
How was the knee, Sarah?
All my pals were like, mate, you have been chatting this chat about this knee for months.
You and Gary could write a chapter 14, sandbagging.
My friend Bella was like, she was writing on the racetrack, and she was like, all this knee chat, not running, I smell a rat. But no, seriously, I mean, whether it was just there was a big psychological element, or I think because the terrain is so conducive to, because when I got the injury, it was on, like, the Dales Way is beautiful, but it's very runnable, a lot of hard pack trail. I think the weight as well, I was carrying like really heavy on a hard pack trail then, but Cape Wrath is so much softer underfoot, and just very varied. Yeah. And I mean, every day I was like, it's still okay.
Because also with that sort of injury, sometimes you can do the day, and then it's not till you wake up the next morning when you go, no.
Completely. But we had a really good, in our tent, we had a really good
tell us,
stretching
where
regime.
It's going next.
Do you choose your tent mates, or did you?
No, I was one of the. I was going to say one of the losers, but clearly it transpired. We were just the stragglers. I put on the SIS entries. SI entries, whichever, I don't mind, happy to go with whoever. Thought it'd be a nice way to meet some people, and didn't mind gender, didn't mind whatever. The stars aligned, and we ended up with truly the most iconic tent. We're all in touch, we'll no doubt stay in touch. Tent 7, I mean, it's a flex, but it's a flex on behalf of the tent. Shane reckoned we maybe it was him, someone else, reckon we're probably one of the first all-women tents to all finish the
definitely.
The whole thing.
Amazing.
And it was truly, everyone was in it together. Everyone was like, it was just one of those things of like women building other women up. It was so, people were as behind each other, like as psyched for each other as they were for themselves. We had Sandy.
Shout out.
Yeah, so she was lying next to me in the tent thing, and she was all the way over from New Zealand. She was out for the longest of all the people that finished. She was out for the longest on the course.
Did it blow your mind when you heard the zip and you were like, oh my God?
Well, literally, we were like tracking her every evening, because we were like, right, she had this horrendous shin injury by the end. I literally don't know how she got through this last 2 days. It was absolutely heinous. But she was making she made the final checkpoint on the 7th day by 13 minutes. And we were like full all behind her. And then it was like, right, everyone's going to action. Okay, someone do your mattress. Right, let's get you some chips. Can I sort your feet? Can I sort this? And it was just like the best camaraderie. The crack was hilarious. Like such an inspiring group of women, really humbling. They were all like really, really experienced. Everyone knew what they were up to. But like really happy to share advice, share food, share whatever, do each other's blisters, check each other's ticks in all of the
ticks.
places.
She said ticks. All you
ticks.
gentlemen.
I mean, to be honest, there were tits flying everywhere.
Nakedness.
The level of the threshold for nudity, right? Which I have no threshold.
You're a doctor.
You happy from the start. But I was like, oh, it's going to be really awkward if someone's like quite uncomfortable with nudity, because from the word go, everyone's
I
like,
don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think on a thing like that. The minute that main tent door goes down, it's like we just got to be at one with each other.
Yeah.
I think previous years here with Dragons Back Race and Cape Wrath, the dynamics could shift as the week go on, as people drop out or maybe do the hatchling, for example, on the Dragons Back Race. But to have everybody there all week long, that sounds, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, people from overseas. I read somewhere it was like 19 countries were represented on the start line.
I mean, I was so happy for Scotland because clearly it's got the lure for all over. I mean, there are lots of Americans who obviously are Scotlandophiles, if that's a word. Like, clearly a lot of people were there because they've heard the beauty of the country. But yeah, even in our tent, I mean, we had Margarida, who's from Portugal, Katie, who's originally from Canada but now lives in the UK. Obviously, I mentioned Sandy from New Zealand. Jen from Scotland. She was our Scottish lass who was the most hilarious person in the camp. I mean, literally, like everyone knew, weirdly, just everyone seemed to know her from the start. She was just, fairly outrageous, fairly.
So good for you too, because just to bring the energy as well.
Yeah.
Just bring the energy when you are like, I'm tired, and then some fresh energy.
Yeah, and everyone, I think, has different dips at different points in the week, and just, it was such a privilege.
Talk us through your tent admin. Were you on it? Are you an organised cat? Yes. Okay.
I say that, but I think I was probably more faffy than the other women in the tent, but I maybe just had more time to do it. I did have very much a list from the evening, and it did like mostly revolve around eating. We were joking that in triathlon they say that the fourth discipline is the transition. I think in Cape Wrath the second discipline is 100% eating, and just because you're just in a constant calorie deficit. And so basically the order of the camp admin was get in, protein shake, straight to the chip tent, get the chips, round one, absolutely coated in salt. I love salt. I need to wean myself back off the salty flavours now that I'm not it's not like pending electrolytes. And then get in the river. I would say the river wash is utterly essential for the muscle recovery and the general not feeling sticky. All the charging. I mean, you just have to work your way through this. Back to the chip tent. You have to get in at least 2 rounds of chips per day.
Oh, 2 rounds. That's impressive. Gosh, essential. Yeah.
What were the midges like? Did they feature?
They got better as the week went on, as it became more breezy. There were a couple of days, I think it was maybe camp 2 and 3, maybe 3 and 4. They did descend. And I mean, I'm fairly used to midges, but it just, when you're knackered and you're just like,
it's a bit like, guys, I'm not in the mood. Leave me alone.
Some people come up, like once they've been bitten, they then have horrible itchy bites, whatever. I'm quite lucky that I don't get that, but it's more just, you just feel like they're harassing you. Just like, and then like you're eating and you've kind of got your midge hat, and then you get there's like 20 midges just in your food, and you're like, well, that's more protein, and just smash them in. I mean, the first sort of 3 or 4 days, it was pretty punishingly hot weather, no breeze on the climbs. So I think a lot of people suffered with heat, but I guess the trade-off was that some of the evenings in the camp were just so chilled and glorious, everyone just glorious sunshine, you get the views, the river is more inviting. So yeah, we were pretty lucky from that side, I think. But yeah, the camp admin was essential. The morning, I would say my morning admin was probably more important because my feet, I was on a big taping mission.
Was that preventative?
Yeah. And I think honestly that was probably, it was just, and I'd get message from my family or friends being like, Sarah, why are you having such a lie-in? Like everyone seems to be setting off at like 7 on the dot.
Wake up. Yeah.
And I still woke up at 5:30, but I often didn't start until like 7:20 or 7:25. But it was purely, I was just so anal about the feet. They were in really good nick by the end, so I think it was worth.
What was your trainer of choice?
So I actually have Nikki Summers to thank for this, another absolute machine. Yeah, I wore Topo. I had 2 pairs with me. I had the Ultra Venture, probably in a different year when it was more boggy. I wouldn't have got much use out of that at all because it's not got that much in the way of lug, but it's nice and cushioned. And then the Mountain Racer, which got a little bit more lugs. I always used to run in Innovate or Solomon, and then I think I just haven't accepted, but I've got really wide feet. When they measure me, they say that they're quite narrow, but I think it's over like the forefoot.
It's that bit,
my
yeah.
toes just, they love to spread. And anyway, I was at this conference and Nikki looked at my feet and I was wearing some old pair, a pair of Solomons that weren't that old, but I just would go through the little toe within like a month. She was like, pal, you need to get on the Topos or the Ultras because these are and then I would sometimes blister on that little toe. Yeah. But with those, I mean, they were perfect. I literally had one small blister.
Are they at 0 heel drop like the Ultras, the Topos?
Not quite. They're 5 mil. So
okay.
Yeah. So because I was tempted to try the Ultras, but I have had some Achilles issues in the past. So I was kind of
a big long race like that. Yeah, definitely. I'd be leaning big time into the Ultras.
Would you carbon plate it, Gary, for Cabin Rat?
Of course I would, 100%.
Day 6 has, you think you're there for this like mountain, rough, pathless, whatever, and then suddenly you're stung with these like unending miles of this forestry track that doesn't end and it's hard packed and the views disappear. So you're just like, well, now I'm just surrounded by farmland and it's brutal. So yeah, that was worth having some cushioning or even the carbon plate.
Interesting. How varied are the days then?
So varied, incredible. Yeah. And I haven't actually had that moment since getting back to like really process and sit down and figure them out. But you just have these huge swings from kind of very kind of high feeling BLACs where you're kind of, getting these absolutely mega mountain views, kind of coming over some like rocky technical terrain, to then just some like really quite cruisy single track kind of round some locks and then some like proper pathless bits, which I think some people, there are quite a lot of Americans who've kind of done like trail running. Not no shade, but they were here and they were like, well, but where are the trails? Because you just have these sections where, and for me, I was like, this is great. In fact, I was chatting to Marcus at the end, or no, maybe like the night before the finish, and I hadn't spoken to him the whole week because he just like run past me every day. But then I think he heard I was first and he was like, "Ooh, what's your strategy?" And then I didn't even know. I think he was like, "Oh, so what's your plan with time?" Because he was really going for beating his previous course record.
That's right. Yeah.
So what's your plan with time? And I was like, I don't
time.
know.
You mean time like chips?
I don't know how long I've been out for. But then he was asking like where I trained, and I said I live in Sheffield and I'd done like majority of my training in the Dark Peak. I might be misremembering this, but I think he said that when he did it the first time, he lived in.
They were there before the. That's where they lived before.
And honestly, it is so transferable. There were so many sections with like the heather, bog, tussocks. Yeah. You could be on Tinder easily. Yeah, it was amazing. Felt very familiar. What
was the nav like? I know, again, apologies, I keep mentioning Dragon's Back race, but there was the recommended route and then there was sometimes you could, not necessarily a shortcut, but you could take a different line. Was that a similar thing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm slightly ashamed to say that I did not recce one single bit of the route just because logistics, it's such a trek. But I think part of me just was so excited for the kind of complete surprise of it. And there are obviously checkpoints and there is an advised route, there's a GPX, and they do say that you should really stick. There are some bits where you specifically have to stick, they have put a couple of red flags, usually safety being and landowners owners, we have to stick to it. And then other than that, I think, there's a little bit of wiggle room of, a couple of 100 meters either side, but really they want you kind of sticking. And again, I think it's respecting the landowners.
Yeah.
And nav wise, I mean, again, sort of my dad who brought me up on the trails in the hills with a map and compass would probably be unimpressed. But really, I mean, the majority of it, I did get my map out a few times just to kind of, if it wasn't clear, just to fine tune and get a bit more of a sort of orientation of things and work out like the best line. But really, a lot of it you are just following your GPX.
It's good to hear it's possible, especially with the international field. Those guys, they're not going to be able to recce the course very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it's all in your head still, but have you got a favourite bit and a least favourite bit, perhaps, of the race?
Well, I think I probably mentioned my least favourite bit, just purely those endless forestry trails without much inspiration. I mean, relative, it's still beautiful, but compared to like the epic views you've had before on day 6, I mean, the Fisher Fields on day 5, where you just have this, and probably going to go back in the next month or so to try and actually do the fish fields round. But you sort of you just come around this corner and these mountains they just keep appearing. You've got Anchi like just right there, and that was beautiful. The back of Benet, where you come around, is that day 4, and it's probably one of the most sort of pathless bits. You sort of come around, there's this incredible waterfall, and then you just drop off this completely pathless section. I mean, yeah.
Americans were like,
what's going on? But I mean, I'd eyeballed that. I'd kind of thought of that bit as like one of the bits I was rooting forward to, and I was like, yes, this is so me, like a sort of really kind of cool technical paths bit. For some reason, I was running like a complete plonker on that bit and just sort of stacking it. Took a bad line, so all the best laid plans, but you can't overemphasize how stunning the whole thing is. It's hard to pick a highlight.
You were able to look up, because I wonder if Marcus was looking up.
Probably not. I was taking photos. I was like, yeah, this is great. There are loads of beautiful wild orchids, and my mum, she's big on flowers, and she's where I got the horticultural love from, and these sort of beautiful wild orchids. If she was here, she'd be like taking these little pictures of them. So I was like, right, I'm going to take one, send it. The other highlight has to be on that final day. You come down to the beach and you've been near the sea the whole time, and then suddenly you are by this, there's this absolute just wild Western Ocean just to your left. And on that day it was blowing, it was suddenly proper Scottish weather, and it was blowing this like absolute hoolie, and you just look, the sea was just so wild and beautiful, and you drop down through these dunes to this beach. I had been like quite an emotional rock. I think everyone had throughout the weeks had their wobbles and their tears, and I was kind of like, am I okay? Am I lacking in any feeling whatsoever? And I think it had all built up because I came down to this beach, and it's just this like white sand, sprawling beach, wild ocean vibe, and I just like wept. Just like so there was a lot of symmetry with that, and amazing memories in Cornwall, and
that sounds magical. Feeling the feels on the beach. How far outdoors when you see the lighthouse?
Quite far off, and you see it and you're like, great, I'm nearly there. And actually that final day, everyone we all underestimated it, because you think, compared to the other distances, it's tiny, it's like it's nothing. But I think almost psychologically in my head I'd been like, right, so yeah, this 7-day run that I'm doing, because I think then like when you've done day 4, you're like, right, I'm more than halfway there. So I'd almost completely written off like the challenge of that last day, and then it's really runnable at the start. The first kind of 5 miles or something is super runnable. It is not over. There's this sudden sting in the tail where you've got this like really rough, really pathless, like not massive hills but undulating, and you see the lighthouse quite early and you're like, hey, nearly done. And then suddenly you're like, why? And there's one of the guys I sort of shared a few miles with, Ian, had completely fallen foul of this, had brought like basically not enough food, and he was like, Sarah, I'm bonking, I don't have enough food. So I was like, right, here's a brunch bar, I've got a spare, we'll do this. And then we kind of brought in quite a few of the final miles together, and it was good.
That's a good tip, though, but that never, the last day, both Dragon's Back and Cape Wrath, I think they're both, the last days are still days to be respected. I'm always interested about what people eat on these multi-days. What was your sort of hill snacks of choice? And you're still smiling about it, because most people are like, I'm not ready to talk about it yet.
No, I have to say, I'm super lucky that from a GI point of view, I'm like almost, I feel bad.
It's fine. It's fine. We all have our weaknesses.
My husband was exactly the same. He was doing OCT like the day before I started it, and he had an absolute mega mare with GI stuff, and so I felt a bit bad being like, oh, my tummy was fine. A lot of advice people gave me was keep it really varied, because you just get really sick of one thing. I do lean on gels quite a bit. Past experience, I know that they sit really well with me, and I've heard it crop up loads of times, but for ages I've always used the SIS Beta Fuel. I had, for the 3 longest days, I had one of those big precision fuel hydration. Is it 90 gram big boys?
Oh yeah, the tubes.
Although it's quite tricky not to just like smash it, and you have to like stop yourself halfway through, and you're like, no, just too much. So those are the kind of gels. I was using Tailwind in the bottles. Food wise, like every day I'd make up a bag of peanut M&Ms and jelly babies, some cashews, something salty. And then sort of bars like Twixes, brunch bars, Snickers. Usually I like to have a bit more fresh food. My absolute fave on the trails is corn picnic eggs. I don't know if you've ever come across them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I joked after I did the coast path that I would like to try and get a sponsorship from Corn. So I'm just going to say this in public, in a public setting now, fueled by Corn picnic eggs. But the problem with Cape Wrath is obviously it was so hot. I think those would probably have been fairly fairly pungent by about day 2, so it had to be
was it David Parrish had carried a pork pie or something like that?
Some people were whipping out the weirdest stuff. I was like, I mean, fair play to you. You don't really stop, you're moving, it's really hot. I mean, I had so many times where a photographer would crop up in the middle of nowhere. Typically I would have got like a fistful of the peanut M&Ms and jelly babies, like smash them into my mouth like a feral creature, be trying to like chew them all, and then you'd round a little rock and they'd be like, hey. like snot coming off your face. And
just
They're the best shots. They're the best shots. What does the trophy look like? I don't think I've seen a picture of the trophy.
Wait 1 second.
Oh, incredible.
It's a beauty. It's as big as your head.
Well, I think that my head's pretty massive. It's actually it's a bit smaller.
That's good.
And then the medal's amazing. I don't know where I've got but the medal's incredibly heavy. Like, as in you put it on and when you bend over and you come back up, you feel like you're just doing little...
Would it really hamper your first A&E shift when you were like, oh, so sorry.
I shouldn't have medal off patience.
Yeah, just bringing it around.
That is amazing. Oh, Sarah, your positivity of this journey is amazing, and I love it, and that shines through. Have you got anything else in the pipeline for 2025?
I really haven't put much in because I was so worried about my knee. I was like, this Cape Wrath's like a real, 5-year like lifetime goal, and I'm just accepting that I won't be able to run for 3 months afterwards. And now genuinely my knee feels better than it did before I started, which is
so typical.
Strange. So that's my physio tip. If anyone's got a knee problem, just go and run 400k and that'll be fine.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, now so we've got a race in Italy in the Dolomites in September with Ben, with my husband, which we just put in as like a holiday, which looks beautiful. It's about 60k. It's called Adamello. Very like different bag, like very much more vert, and yeah, looks absolutely stunning. I feel like the appetite has been whet for. I mean, I'd love to do Dragon's Back at some point. I did actually look at it for this year just because I felt great, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe just ride off the training from this winter. But it finishes at my friend's wedding. Like the final day is one of my friend's weddings. So I thought,
is it near Cardiff?
And it is. To be fair, the wedding is in Wales. So I was like, maybe I can just run to the wedding.
Yeah.
But then I thought what I was like at the award ceremony after Cape Wrath, because people were trying to, offering to buy you pints, and I had literally 1.5, and I was
you could be the talk of this wedding. Turn up and
I know it was. I said to Michelle, I was like, that would probably not be good form, would it? And then I'd love to do a bob, and that's been in my mind for a while. I mean, I was wondering about trying to sneak one in this year, and I would probably actually, because I love running in the dark, and I would probably quite happily accept less daylight for maybe slightly cooler weather. But then again, it could just be absolutely hooning it down. So
it's exciting.
So I think that's the plan.
What about long term? Are you thinking, would something like the Spine interest you?
Oh yeah, I mean it does. I've heard so much about it, and it definitely does interest me. I don't know how I'd fare at all because I'm so much, as I say, I've kind of been so much more suited to the multi-day things. Having a bit of time to recover, I can't imagine. I just can't comprehend running that far.
You've got incredible endurance and you've got a dodgy tummy. I think you'd be right up your street. How do you feel though? Because now, if you're on the start line now, you'd have a target on your back for people who would know who you are.
That's worst nightmare, worst case scenario. I'll just turn up to the start line with a moustache and just
just let it grow. Just let it grow.
Yeah, exactly. Just, at the end of Cape Wrath, I was like, oh, little chin hair there. haven't seen the mirror for 8 days.
I think you're so mentally positive. You can turn it. You can turn a little bit of pressure into positivity of like, well, this is just great. I'm inspiring other women to go and do stuff, inspiring people that they don't need to have perfect preparation for stuff. That you can turn it. Yeah, you can turn it all into like, and you can also go and I'm just gonna, it's a privilege and it doesn't matter. I'm just here to enjoy it, which seems to be your sort of like.
I do honestly think there is a lot to be said for just appreciating the joy of it. And I've definitely heard you guys say before, that or other people on the podcast just saying, like, there's no point in complaining because we have inflicted this on ourselves.
Yeah.
And, you know,
These are the words of my mother.
It's
You
so
have
true.
done this to yourself, Edwina.
I know, same as my parents. You idiot! What are you doing now? But you know, you see, and this definitely ran through my mind. You know, when your head goes to a trickier place, and you know, there are people going through things so much harder. You know, I see it every day at work. You know, see it sort of close to home. You know, so much harder and
We
grueling
choose to do
that they
this,
haven't
yeah.
chosen, and you can't. I mean, that's proper suffering. And actually, everything we're doing is just is a joy, and being able to be out in the hills, meeting these inspiring people. I mean, I can't. It sounds like almost disingenuous, but we're so lucky to do what we do and be out in these incredible environments. And I just think you have to roll with the joy, and that I think then miles look after themselves when you do that.
Yeah.
My God, that's our new ending, Gary. Roll with the joy. Roll with the joy.
Scribble it down.
Scribble it down.
Should we do the quick five?
Yeah, let's do it.
This question's inspired, not that Adam Buxton listens to the podcast, but this was his emergency question if he's ever kind of faltering with the guest. And yes, I was...
That'd be that hard work. Do not ask her.
When was the last time, if you actually remember, when was the last time somebody told you off? I was given a judgy head shake when I was driving the other day.
Oh, that's so hard.
Gary, so where's yours come from, Gary? Did you get little Gary out in the supermarket again?
I mean, I there was one moment on Cape where I coulda, woulda, shoulda got a telling off, where I basically accidentally had a wee, I'm pretty sure, on the drone footage.
Oh, I've done that. Steve's very used to that. He's like,
I know. Well, I think luckily
again. There are all these girls. They come round, they hear the drone, they drop the pants.
I know. I've been running along with him for, like, you know, he'd been running along with me but for quite a while, and I'd been kind of increasingly in need of a wee, which I was quite pleased about because obviously, you know, the kidneys are working.
Yep.
And he was like, right, okay, you can crack on up that pass, you know, carry on. I might just do a bit of drone footage, you know, just to see you going. And I was kind of waiting, heard the drone, heard it stop, and was like, great, I can drop pegs. And then literally I was just putting my pants up and it was like...
He's like, gotcha!
He didn't tell me off. So I don't know. I think I probably just cruised through and yeah.
Should never be told off.
I find them very
Tell you
distracting.
off anyway.
When I hear a drone...
Oh, no, I do kind of hate drones. I had to tell someone off the other day, actually, out on Bamford, when it was super dry for months, you know, literally weeks and weeks and weeks, we had no rain. It's an absolute tinderbox. And I saw someone having a cigarette and I was like,
oh my God,
I don't want to be that person, but I not tell them off, but just, I think people don't know that the peat bog, even if you think it's out, you know, even if you don't see a flame, it can sort of sit there and then just go up. And I just think we need more awareness of no flames on the moorland, because there are just some absolutely just devastating.
Did they take it well? Did they take your...
I did slightly wonder if I was going to be punched in the face, but they were kind of a bit... I couldn't not. I think it's... Yeah.
You're right, yeah.
My wife's had some experience where she's told people off or called them out on something and it's not gone very well. I think a man being told to do something by a woman, sometimes it's...
Gary, you're used to that. Just to come to it.
I'm not sure my telling off because people will be coming at me. Maybe I was in the wrong. I'm not too sure. Bucket list race.
I would say it's a bucket list race because it is unfinished business. So, and now they've stopped doing it. So what I would really like is for the High Peak Marathon to be reinvigorated. So, I mean, it's a route that it's sort of normal stomping ground, but it's the Derwent Watershed Loop. It's about 42 miles. It's completely sadistic because they do it in February overnight. So you start at 10 p.m. And it was when I was a student, I was, my final year of med school. I would say this is probably one of the early times of me getting sort of properly stuck into sort of longer, rougher running. And it's in a team. And we trained, we had our name, which was called Mud, actually. And we put in like a proper winter of training, peat bogs, freezing cold, proper condition. And then it got cancelled because of the beast from the east. And I was so gutted. I remember being on placement. So I was about to qualify as a doctor, like 5 months later. I got a text through that it was been cancelled, and I literally cried on the ward. I was so gutted. And I think I was chatting to one of the junior doctors and I was like, she was like, what is wrong? Has something gone wrong? And I was like, well, this race, and once I qualify, I won't have any time to do anything. And this is my one chance. And she was amazing. She's like a power lifter. So she does like proper powerlifting whilst working full time. And she was like, what are you talking about? You'll be absolutely fine. You'll just juggle it. So yeah, but now because I think, landowner issues, and I guess it was just a really non-commercial, low-key race that relied on volunteers. And it's really sadly fallen by the wayside. So the dream bucket list would be
bring it back.
Because it's just incredible. It's on all the good stuff in the Dark Peak.
They'd be like, how could you sell it though? How could you bring it back? Because if it's basically started
you
10
just got to sell it as the toughest, hardest, awfulest. No one can do this, and people would lap that up. Middle-aged men.
And it's got it's got proper history. And I used to, when I was a student, used to volunteer and helped coordinate it. And it's amazing because all the students, they get this sort of granted permission for one night to like camp in the Peak District. And so it's probably quite sketchy in retrospect. They probably wouldn't get insurance now, but the students man they do the checkpoints, and it's all very Heath Robinson, where someone has the radio that they have to go in the Land Rover and drive the radio mast up Win Hill, and it's all kind of. But it's amazing. It's like proper, it's the proper thing, yeah.
I'm just reading your question, Eddie. Favourite A&E injury to treat?
Well, I'm actually more of like a medical, as in internal medicine background. So my sort of bread and butter is more like I've always been sort of more interested in sort of respiratory medicine. So interested in kind of
good place.
Acute asthma or COPD or something sort of breathing difficulties that you can try and kind of get people more comfortable. But in terms of pure injury, I do love a bit of suturing, where someone comes in, they've got a really juicy wound, and it's quite nice because it's just quite manual. You don't need to think too much, and they've got a nice open
Going
wound.
somewhere nice on your holidays. Don't worry about me.
Yeah, it's the same sort of chat you get at a hairdresser. You're like,
Workout of the week time. Yeah. I don't know if you remember if you had a favourite workout during your build up for Cape Wrath, or something that we'd share with our listeners.
I guess I've got a good one, which is quite specific to people who live in urban areas, which again, like I don't do road running at all really, but I got into this when I worked in the hospice, and you do these kind of 24-hour on calls where you're not at work for some of them, but you're just holding the phone, and you might need to go in or give advice, but you need to not be very, you can't stray, so you're not at work, but you can't stray very far from your home, and you have to have your phone on you. So basically we call it Greystone Spirals. In Sheffield, where the industrial workers would live, they had all these like terraced housing, and they've just got all these roads that are like parallel roads, and then with these horizontals that go across. And basically you do like a 10-minute warm up, and it's really mainly for the Strava imagery. But you do, once you've warmed up, and again, I would say the way that it works in our one is that so you're basically going kind of sprinting up or going really hard up it's slightly on a slope, up the ascents, and then you go skip across 2 roads, and then go down very, very gently, try and get your heart rate back down. And then you go along one, and then you're going hard up the ups. And so you're basically going in like a...
Oh, I like it. I get it. Yeah.
And just everyone should come to Greystones to do it, because it's perfect, because the hills get steeper as you go along. So you're probably going sort of, and I suppose you could definitely recreate it on the treadmill as well. But you're probably doing, it's up to about a minute of pretty hard effort on the up bit, and then the same bit sort of gradually down. And you're probably doing, there's probably about 6 or 7 of them, and you can keep going and, up into the higher bit of the neighbourhood. And it just is a really good way to, because sometimes the treadmill sessions, much as they're really helpful, they can be relatively boring. But this, you kind of doing the odd cat or skip or whatever, and you can do it at dark. It really doesn't take long at all. And just doing that kind of.
And then when your phone rings,
your phone rings, pick up the phone to a nurse, and you're like, hello. So that's Greystone Spirals. Quite a few people do it.
I'm calling it that.
Cool. Greystone Spirals, the fame.
Greystone Spirals. Yeah, the fame.
Instagram story music time, Sarah. Yeah. What song should we put to this week's Instagram story?
Well, it has to be some Scottish trad music. I didn't listen to that much music on Cape Wrath because it was just so beautiful and it just kind of drew you along. But there were definitely some hills where I was like, right, I need to get stomping. Yeah, definitely had my ears with the areas you're in, some sort of proper Scottish music. I mean, you mentioned tide lines. Yeah, I'd say probably tide lines far side of the world, because it's in beautiful Scotland and you're just in these remote places. You feel like you're at the edge of the earth. I don't know if they have it, but if you could, there's a live version from Hebkelt, which is just...
If they've got it, Gary will find it.
And if not, there's another band called Elephant Sessions that have some bangers. So there's one called After Hours, which would also highly recommend.
Writing this down. Oh, Sarah, thank you so much. What a treat. What a treat to meet you. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the podcast not that long after coming home and getting back into work. I love hearing your story and your energy and a little bit of your journey. And all the time you're talking, I was like, maybe I won't do Northern Traverse. Maybe I'll do Cape Wrath. Maybe I'll do Cape Wrath.
You'd love it. Honestly, I could not recommend it enough. It's been genuinely one of the best things I've ever done. Beautifully organised, volunteers are amazing. Yeah, can't thank them enough.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. Well done. Keep going with the recovery. Take it easy. And we look forward to whatever comes next in your... and hopefully our paths might cross at a race.
Yeah.
Or just an adventure.
Absolutely.
Not a race. Let's do an adventure.
I won't rate you. I wouldn't be able to meet the competitive levels. I'd be like, oh, see you later.
Eddie's not very friendly. She's not even talking to me.
Oh, it's been such a joy to meet you both.
Yeah, it's been a treat. Honestly, if anybody's listening to this thinking they fancy one of these big multi-day or self-sufficient races, then I'm pretty sure this chat will have had a positive impact on anybody who's thinking about towing the line. Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
Oh, such a pleasure. Take care.
Bye.
You too.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Harrier Trail Running, for sponsoring our Strava Club and the Tales from the Trail section. Harrier is the UK's fastest growing brand for trail runners, providing specialist kit designed for superior fit, comfort and function with the best customer support. Check them out for race vests, waterproofs, poles and other trails essentials. I used my Harrier poles at the weekend. My second long run, I did a nice route down the coast and then up through the Dean. In every climb, I got my poles out because I just figured, wow, it's probably been a year since I have used them. Yeah, I thought it was good just taking them in and out, up and down those very short but steep climbs of Castle Dean. Check them out over at www.harrierrunfree.co.uk, where you can also download your free copy of How to Run an Ultra Guide. Use the code T10 for 10% off site-wide, or check out the brilliant trail bundles for a special 20% off. First up is Mark Stocker GB, 95.3 miles for the week with the longest run of 87.1 miles and a total elevation of 7,123 feet. Here's a request to follow, but that must have been the Ridgeway Challenge. Well done, Mark. Lisa Robinson, 60.6 miles for the week with the longest run of 20 miles and 5,620 feet for the week. This is Robbo's wife, our Bob Graham Round crack road support team. It's great to see her name pop up in the... I didn't
know his wife was a runner as well. He's kept that quiet.
Lakeland 100 finisher, Lakeland 50 finisher.
He's like, get out, Mum. This is podcast. Get out my face, Lisa.
Well, Lisa's had a busy week. Body pump, weighted circuit, walks, trail miles. Looking good.
That is a fit household.
Last up, Adrian Brooker, 72.7 miles, 19.2 miles longest run and 1,170
How can he have only done... No.
Maybe it's 11,000. Yeah, maybe it's 11,000 feet. Sorry.
Unless he's London-based, maybe.
Maybe I've robbed him of a digit.
I always think it's amazing, people's London runs, when they get like 75 feet of elevation in a 20-mile run. I'm like, oh, God, that gives me the shivers.
Big days for Adrian, though. Not sure of the exact deets of the runs, but 5 runs in that week, all over 10 miles in distance.
He's your sort of guy, Gary. He is your sort of guy.
Kudos to all our Strava Club members. Yeah, I love seeing what you've all been up to. Tales from the trails.
Good morning, Gary and Eddie. Oh, I do like a formal introduction to an email, don't you? Like, just not straight in there, but just like, good morning, Gary and Eddie. Hope you... Oh, this gets even better. I hope you're both well. And whilst this is not my first time of writing in on this feature, I thought it was possibly worth a shout. For the past 12 months, my wife Jill and I have been training for the Transvolcania Marathon. Having watched this race for many years and seeing the stunning scenery, I thought, wrongly as it turns out, this would be a great race for Jill to do her first marathon. Oh, Lord. I don't know where this is going. But I'm nervous for Jill. Jill has transformed into a full-on runner and loves getting out on the trails with her Let's Run ladies and the Orchard Eagles. Oh, the Orchard Eagles, that sounds fun. And this challenge was a tough one, was well within her capabilities. Oh, how the weather gods must really hate us. Checked into the race on the Friday, lovely weather in the expo area, with the race due on Saturday, all good. Final kit checks, final review of the weather. Oof, oh dear, looks like a little bit of rain during the day. Good job we packed our rain jackets. They should be on and off. Jill posted on the Tea and Trails Facebook page and Kim Cavill commented how beautiful the views were. And then in brackets, didn't see any. Ping! Email warning from the race organiser that the weather is not looking good and it could be minus temps on the tops due to the wind conditions. So please carry a survival blanket. Yeah, that'll help. This was the first warning. Arrived at the start line, 5 a.m, raining and cold, sat on the bus as long as we could. Then 800 people tried to huddle under pop-up gazebos. 6:30 race start. Okay, not too bad, but still raining. As we climbed higher and higher, elevation gain of 1,800 metres. Whew, the weather, the wind, the rain increased. The intention was not to run together, so I plodded on with Jill following. By the time I reached the top, I was starting to get frostbite in my fingers. And upon arrival at the top checkpoint, realised that a lot of people were in the throes of hypothermia, and if I didn't leave the checkpoint, I'd also quickly suffer. So I set off to complete this challenge. 12k to go. I fell and badly sprained my ankle. It was not going to bing me. Oh my God. Ping phone, son texting. What the hell? This is classic. I bet he's a teenager. Have some more screen time. What the hell does he want? Ring, ring, phone. Blooming heck, need to stop and answer the phone. Oh no, no signal. I hope all is okay. Bugger, bugger, bugger. Keep going, keep going. Thought I'd trained for downhill, but oh no, the lactic monster got me. I finished. But what about Jill? Oh my God, I know. What about Jill?
It's a drama. Oh my God.
Let's take a breath. Jill made it all the way to the top checkpoint, but like over 300 others succumbed to the weather. Phone calls and pings were to let me know what was happening, to say where she was, and was gutted to not complete the race. So my real message to Jill and to all: 1, she did fantastic. She did, to get as far as she did given the circumstances. 2, we can train and train all we want, but we cannot control the weather, even racing in hot locations. 3, we are stronger than we think, and we can and we will pick ourselves up and go again, but not this race. Thanks for the great podcast each week. Oh, that is tough. That's tough when the weather gods throw everything at you. There were a ton of even professional athletes that Ruth Croft didn't finish that race. She got hypothermic. So even the most experienced runners were suffering.
I wonder how much gain you'd done from the start to that 1,800 metres, because that is high. And if you're cold at the start, oh my goodness. Well, normally they'll do a bad weather route. I know Tour de Helvellyn and even Northern Traverse, when you did it, they were very keenly on the forecast, and luckily Helvellyn went ahead, but Traverse was diverted. Didn't go Kidsty Pike, did you?
No.
Oh, what a drama.
Anyway, Jill,
well done.
You've got an adventure. I would say you can tick that off as a big adventure, and let us know, what I'm sure you're already fingers on the button signed up for something else as well. But good decision, a great decision to make. If you are cold, call a time. Don't push on and then end up in a worse situation. Work out. Oh, we love to work out.
Of the week.
Work out of the week.
I didn't ask for head shakes.
Don't you go with the, oh yeah. Let's do this. Work it. We're working. We're grooving. We're in the zone. We're moving.
Yay.
Yay. We got it. This one inspired from Sarah Ingram. Our chat this week, Cape Wrath winner, is called Greystone Swirls. Now, it's called Greystone Swirls, of course, where she does it, but we can call it Tea and Trails Swirls. You can call it whatever swirls you like. And I sort of adapted it. You'd have heard her discussing it in the podcast, but I've sort of made it so that everybody can incorporate it into it. And it's a nice... Now, don't be fooled by this, Gary. This looks easy. You would approach this in your plan. You'd be like, today's workout is not too hard.
10 times 1 minute. Easy
10 times 1 minute. Easy, nice. Ooh, do this properly, and it's a right spicy one. Good warm up, some strides. I would almost do some little 15 seconds pre-prep uphill strides to warm up into this, and then you can do this on treadmill, you can do it on road, you can do it on trail, you can do it on hill. There's no pace guide. It's just a good, strong, engage the glute effort, 10 by 1 minute, same jog down, recovery. And if Sarah, you might have somewhere where you can do a sort of do different sides of a hill as well to make it more interesting, make it like a sort of hot cross bun shape or something like that. If you're on the treadmill, just whack it up to 10% and do it. I'd probably give yourself a couple of minutes recovery if you're on the treadmill, and just build into it, because nobody wants to do 3 by 1 minute and then be like, lactate hell. But the last 10 seconds of each of those 1 minutes is where the magic happens. So if you can hold your form and still be strong in that last 10 seconds, that is where the good stuff is. What I often do is if I'm doing a 1 minute rep is I just mark where I get to on the hill with like a branch or a bit of fence or something, and then you don't need to keep looking at your watch as well. You might put the workout onto your watch, or you might just and if it's like 50 seconds because that's the top of the hill, or 1 minute 10 seconds.
I would definitely do the strides though, because when I do strides, the first two,
awful.
They are the warm up.
Oh, they are just awful. Anyway, thanks for the workout, Sarah. Look forward to doing that. We've been a little bit down on the hot reviews. We're not hot anymore and people aren't reviewing us anymore. We have got tons. We could start again from the beginning. People wouldn't remember.
Would anybody know?
So I did something dangerous, Gary. I went into AI and I read review. I'm
so surprised you did this.
I was feeling good about myself, Gary. I'd had a recovery week. I was feeling strong. I was thinking, I didn't type my name in because that would be triggering. I typed in the podcast because I thought I'm safe. I've got you then as my safety net. So I typed in to see if there was anything out there, a Reddit feed.
Two co-hosts banging on, flirting with each other or something like that. Was
talking about how hard life is. I was expecting that. Anyway, I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
So here we go. Here's what's out there. The Tea and Trails podcast has garnered widespread acclaim. I don't know what that means. Within the trail running community, praise for its engaging content and relatable hosts. This was a theme. Apple Podcasts, the podcast boasts a remarkable 4.9 out of 5 rating from over 250 reviews. I think that is low, not 5, because one person was like, bore off, these two.
Yeah, but somebody said this is like, it was a real positive review, but they give us a 1 star.
It's probably my dad. Listeners frequently commend the hosts, Edwina and Gary, for their authentic chemistry and the podcast blend of humour, inspiration and practical advice. Global appeal, Gary. You'll love this one. Reviews from international listeners, included those in the US, look, he's actually heavy breathing, Canada and Australia, highlight the podcast's warmth and accessibility,
my eyes weeping again.
Noting that it makes long runs feel like a chat with friends.
Oh.
Each episode delves into topics. I like the use of the word delve into topics such as ultra racing, personal stories, coaching insights, and the interviews with notable figures in the trail running world. The host's candid discussions and the inclusion of listeners submitted tales from the trails foster a strong sense of community.
I'll take that,
Gary. I'll take that. But also, guys, get writing us reviews, because I'm not going in AI again, because I'm not good enough for that.
I wonder if you asked it exactly the same question a week on, would it just get the same question, same results?
We're not doing that. We've done it once. We're not doing that. Thanks, guys. Thanks. I think that's pulled from all the different reviews that we've had. Yeah. And I do love that our main thing is these two idiots. They're just chatting.
Relatable.
Why do I listen to this? Why do I listen to this? But then all my favourite podcasts I listen to, I do think, I just like listening to the chat.
We've had David Attenborough chat. We've had Tom Cruise and his leading lady chat. We've done it all.
We've had sweating.
Exactly what people tune in for. Eczema on my foot.
Oh, yeah.
A weeping eye. Great stuff. Thank you, Protein Rebel, for bringing us home. Gentle on your stomach, driving your performance. Whether you're trying to get a PB or you're training for your first marathon or completing your 10th ultra, Protein Rebel's products are easy to digest with no artificial additives, providing both performance and overall health benefits. I need to do some research. I'm not too sure if you know about this, but on the marine collagen, it says peptides. I keep hearing peptides, but I do not know what they do. Shout out to the first ever Protein Rebel Running Festival. It's been held on the 5th of July in Cheshire, and there will be a 10k trail run followed by 2 hours of inspirational speakers, including Laura Swanton Ruvelen, Ben Bungle Taylor, Rhino Boy Chris, and more. There's also going to be a 2.5
every week it makes me laugh about Rhino Boy Chris.
Mini athletics for kids, on-site calf, and a massage tent, and much more.
A peptoid versus peptide. Oh, this is going to blow your mind. I knew that it was some sort of form of amino acids. I can't even go here, Gary. It's too much. This is not the podcast.
Is it going to make me hench? That's basically what I need.
Yeah, you keep going with that. You're
Excellent.
doing good. It's good. It's a building block. Well, I think I'm on it. good. Back on it. No negotiable, like 2 months now. And June needs to be good because July is going to be a washout because we've got the family summer holiday, hashtag not a holiday for mum. We're camping. It'll be 2 weeks.
All the admin.
Wow. In my head, I was working out which kettlebell I'd be able to sneak to the campsite. And I'm going to have to go heavy. And then I was thinking heat training. Can I heat train up and down a Scottish beach in my suit? I totally can.
Strong look. Yeah.
And then I'll just dry it all outside the tent. I think I better buy a new core one if that is going on a public. So July is going to be, so June has got to be absolute, hold me accountable, listeners. I am on it. I am becoming, you won't recognize me in a month's time. Lean, mean.
Scorcher.
The kids keep poking my bum and being like, Mum, it's really floppy. That's so rude. Nice. I'm like, I'm not tensing and I'm 45. Things are drooping. I'm doing my best. Anyway, back in the gym, up my weights. Both my boys are becoming gym bros.
Yes.
Gym bros. Driving me mad.
They'll be on the peptides.
I have my weights all set up and they keep moving stuff. And I can't get the big weights off the bar. I'm like, I'm going to drop it. And the little one has just started. So I'm like, you're not to go near the bar. You can do the dumbbells.
No deadlifts.
I've written him like, you can single leg deadlift holding a dumbbell. You're not to go near the bar. And so my treadmill is next to my squat rack bucket, but it's got a wall, but it's a glass wall. It's hard to describe, but I can see them. And so as I'm on the treadmill, I was doing my uphill treadmill the other day, and they're in there, and I see the chest press because all they want to do is do arms.
Yeah.
And
Guns
I'm
and
like,
pecs.
I saw them going, and I was like banging, sweating, going, no, away you are to stay with the 5. And he's picking up the 5 kg dumbbell, going, what is the point of
Don't
this?
forget the legs, kids. Don't forget
Gym
your
bros.
legs.
But he did say yesterday, he was like, I want to get bigger legs. I'm like, oh, you're 13 with your little spindly legs. I love it. And this weekend, I got another fun outing in the diary, heading to meet up with Debs again, and we are doing her race simulation for Western States training, and the forecast is 11 degrees, thundery showers.
Oh, exactly.
We are
Very
ready
specific.
for if the storm comes in. So I was going to offer to say, look, I'll carry all the stuff so you don't have to carry anything because you won't be carrying any weight on Westerns. You know, if you'll just have water, and you can even put do you want to go a bit of heat training in this? But the weather looks this is not. There's parts of this race simulation will tick, but also that's a pity it's not. We're not back to Costa del Scotland. You'll love this route, Gary. 24 miles, about 8,000
I'll
feet.
see all it. Debs crushes Instagram. I'm going to see.
She will. The reel from that will be. I might even put a bit of mascara on.
She'll do it in the afternoon. You'll do yours about 2 weeks later.
And mine will be rubbish and have all these sort of mistakes, and hers is so good. What about you?
Swaledale Marathon rec again. So off to Reeth. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, so
Well,
go
you
down
should
again.
go to the Dales Bike Centre for your coffee and cake.
Well, we'll probably park. I would do that, but because we'll only be there for a short amount of time, I don't want to leave the car there and then get clamped or something like that. So we'll park in Reeth, and then we've got all the temptations of Reeth ice cream all over again. I'm not too sure what we're going to do, but I've heard there is some acceptable shortcuts, corner cutting.
Oh, this is typical of you.
So I've been on Strava, done a bit of stalking for various Swaledale runners.
So
when
is the Swaledale Marathon?
Not this weekend coming, but the weekend after, whatever that is.
You taking this quite seriously?
I would like to do quite well in the 50. Yeah,
Would you?
50-year-old group.
You've done it before. What's your PB on the course?
Oh, it's 3:40 or something like that. So I've got to run significantly faster. I think
How
I've got
much
to
climbing is there in it?
about just over 4,000
500
feet.
feet.
It's about 4,000 feet. So I'm using this
Nice,
because
good.
it's similar to the
Excellent.
Lakeland 100.
Yeah.
The
So
climbs,
340. Do you reckon you got a 330 in you?
I'll need to go even faster than that.
You need to go fast.
I think because it's not my A race, it's a bolt onto just a normal week of running.
You won't have a taper.
I'll
to it.
struggle to
Full
win that
course suit?
category. Yeah, full course suit. But the reason why I'm doing it is because it's similar elevation ratio to Lakeland 100. And it will be a good test to see how I feel after 20 odd miles of running. I know it's crazy, but if you're faffing with a bit of nav, there's a minute gone, there's say 5 minutes gone faff. If I can just cut those lines legally, I don't want to piss anybody off and get called out for.
We're going to be checking that.
Well, I have checked other people who I know have done the race.
Yeah,
who've
and
won
now
the
they're
race.
all going to be. There's going to be race director emails.
Who are
There's gonna be-
Swaledale runners, so I'm pretty sure it's a safe bet. I am thinking I might even go down there twice this weekend if I can tempt somebody else out for a run, just so I can switch off on race day. If I'm on the move, is this Wainstones loop. Just autopilot on that now. So if I could get that for the Swaledale, but to go down twice in a weekend.
Yeah, considering you've just been whining the whole time about how busy you are and fitting everything in.
I know. Well, they're all backloads into the weekend. Try and lift something other than my 10 kg kettlebell.
10 kg kettlebell, Gary. Come on.
It's pretty light. Well, that's the lightest weight. I've got dumbbells that are heavier than that, but that's the lightest weight I've got. That's the heaviest weight, I've got at home. I'm not going to fight it. It is stressing me out.
It's not stressing out that much because you haven't been to the gym.
Well, the fact I'm not going to the gym is stressing me out, but I'm kind of just thinking, try and resign to it. If you do, you do it. If you don't, you don't. I'm going to go out for a curry on Sunday evening. Really looking forward to that. And I'm going to try something I don't know what I'm going to try yet, but I'm going to try something I've never, ever had before in an Indian restaurant.
Oh, I look forward to it. What's your go-to curry?
Oh, I love a tandoori, anything like that. But it is
go spicy, eh?
I like a hariali, it's a real vibrant green curry.
Do you remember that curry we had with Matt and James in? Was it in Horse?
Yeah.
Oh, so we had so much food. The guy was like, "I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fit that on the table." And we're like, "Don't be scared."
I've already had the portion control chat because we ate like pigs last time we went out for an Indian meal.
I think that's the point of it, though, isn't it? You over order, you all get excited, and then
I need me Christmas trousers for that though, just to undo the top button. But yeah, really looking forward to it. Nice to do stuff like that with the family. Everyone's home now, so it's nice. We've got everybody.
Oh, finished for summer. First year done.
Esme's done.
Thanks for tuning in. We love you. Thanks a lot. My God, I think this has been our most. I love you, Gary, too. Oh, you're talking to the listeners.
Yes.
Oh, no, it's awkward. I've been watching Married at First Sight while I've been on the treadmill. It's absolutely awful. Yeah, grubby. I feel dirty, but I feel dirty anyway on the treadmill when I'm in my heat suit. And we'll see. They're always going on about being in the experiment, and I'm always going to bring. Now we are in the experiment. We really have we gotta like just really connect and communicate in the experiment. It's just such a load.
Has there been one success story on that?
I think there has been a couple of well, I'm up to the point now where there's a baby.
Wow.
One of them is pregnant, but they've not been to. I thought I've been watching this. I'm only on episode 14 or something. Oh my God, 40. I'm like 14 hours of the Eddie. What are you doing? Anyway, you can watch on the treadmill because you don't have to look because it's
balance,
all.
You're
it's all
such
the
a
dialogue.
high functioning adult. You need to balance it out.
Anyway, dear listeners, we love you. Yes, please share the episode, the pod, share the love, pop over to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, take a look at some of the reels that Gary is generating. What I'm most upset is that you seem to do a lot on me, who's not brushed her hair, sometimes not even brushed her teeth. I'm like, oh my God, look at the state of that woman. Don't look at them, just listen to them. They are quite funny. Thanks to X Miles for Simple Hydration, Phoenix Light UK, Harrier Trail Running, Protein Rebel, and Shocks. Remember, those discount codes are all in the show notes. T10 2025 for Shocks, T15 for Protein Rebel, T-Time 2025 for Simple Hydration, and T10 for Harrier Trail Running. Thanks to our partners and you to our patrons too. We couldn't do this without you and your ongoing support.
Good luck to everybody out on the trails, racing, training, recceing, solo miles or miles with mates. Yeah, whatever you're doing, have an incredible weekend. Let the trail rise to meet you and the wind always be on your back. Be kind to your future self. Breathe and believe. Progress, not perfection. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 124 of the Tea and Trails podcast.
Light sensitivity, watery eye. Now we're recording.
A watery eye.
Is it when you're tired?
Yes.
It can lead to rheumatoid arthritis or Sjogren's syndrome.
Oh my God, what is that?
Oh my God, Gary, what is that?
I was poked in the eye as a kid. And it's like I've got like a little crater if you zoomed in right on my eye. And every time I get run down, it seems to...
Do you have antiviral eye drops?
No. It's usually fine. Just when I get...
It just close up.
If I'm about to get super poorly.
Yeah, Bryn gets it on his... he gets eye and then on his lip. And it's non-sexually transmitted herpes.
Awesome.